All right, y'all. Welcome to All Politics Are Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. Well, y'all know if it is the fourth Friday, y'all know it is time for the disciples. Well, listen, y'all. We've already had some of that conversation with Brother Minister Abdul Haq Muhammad. So can't wait to hear Pastor Ali jump on board with that, and Reverend Roundtree jump on board with that. So that's going to be a real powerful conversation on the disciples tonight. And of course, y'all know if anybody keep it real black, y'all know the disciples do. So we're looking forward to that conversation. So John is going to give y'all a rundown. He's going to tell y'all everything that's coming through tonight on the show tonight. So John, I'm gonna let you have it.
All right, so we have a really good show out tonight. We have of course, we start off with the disciples, and that they're going to have a great conversation, just like they always have. And then right after that, we're going to have Deputy Mayor Rahman Muhammad come on and talk about New Jersey gun laws. He's going to talk about the election because he has a lot to say. He's a lively personality. And he's going to be talking about his recent experience with COVID. So then at 7:45, we're going to have Reverend Lukata Majumbe, and you can help me with that, Zaid. Mjumbe. All right, so he's going to be coming in talking about Sundiata Akoli's release, trying to get him released early.
Not early, late. He's late.
Right, get him released now, right? Like, get him released now. Because, America has political prisoners, and people forget all the time, right? That he should have been pardoned. A whole lot of people should have been pardoned by Donald Trump. I mean, whatever. But and Obama and Biden and everybody else. So we're going to be talking about that. And then at 8:15, we're going to have DJ Haas and Harvey Nunez talk about hip-hop and the inauguration. With DJ Rhino. And so all that's coming up on the rundown. So All Politics Are Local. All that's going on tonight. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be a deep show like we do every week. Ed?
Brother Ed, you on mute, brother.
All right. So it's going to be a good show.
Sorry about that. Thank you for the rundown, John. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, Ed, one last thing.
Yes, sir.
One last thing. I just want to tell everybody this. Tonight, I was listening to Chrisette Michele for the first time in 4 years. Mm. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Chrisette Michele, and I'm listening to you again.
Okay.
All right, Ed.
Really, brother.
What'd you say to
was probably doing more than this.
Yeah, really, brother. Yeah, Brother John, don't do that, brother.
He had
what?
on lockdown.
I listened to Chrisette Michele.
He was listening with all eyes.
I think you missed the joke. I think you missed the joke.
You stopped listening to Chrisette Michele because she sung at Trump's inauguration.
Man, I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do the cooning.
If we stop listening to all of the hip hop artists and the actors who have been seen,
sold us out. That's right.
Pictures with Trump and. Oh, brother.
Oh, come on, man. I mean, you can listen to what you listen to. Sometimes when people coon too hard, they sound different. They don't sound the same. I start listening to them like, I don't hear. She has a beautiful voice. She's an amazing singer.
How can we classify her as cooning because she sung at Trump's inauguration?
Depends on who you classify as who you singing for. You can't just sing for everybody.
But hold, brother John.
Like if you singing for the Klan.
Hold on, brother John. Trump doesn't have Biden record and J-Lo sung at his inauguration.
Oh,
as it relates to black folks. So
one has a whole group of white supremacists going to war for him.
I hope they all got paid.
So I'm just like, one has a group of white supremacists going, "We love you," right? Like when David Duke, "I love you, Trump." When you got white supremacists going all out, then I'm like, I can't. You sound different. You know, I mean, if the white supremacists had come out with the Confederate flags for Biden, I'd be like, J-Lo, you know you really can't sing. You should have just danced anyway. But, you know, I really can't listen to you.
But what I'm saying, listen. But
He
what
just
I'm saying
smacked
is that-
J-Lo.
Oh, but what I'm saying is that
He
I'm
just
not
wanted to see
making this about
J-Lo
J-Lo,
dance.
But what I'm saying is that okay, Trump had white supremacists
Y'all
come
wild
out
this
with
morning.
Confederate flags, but here it is. Biden passed such a draconian crime bill
That old,
that has
he
killed
old.
black men
That's
to
right.
this day, and women
He need
still in
Kamala
jail.
Harris to make him remember his
No,
damn name.
and I agree with you mostly
So
on
how
Joe
we
Biden, the
think
crime
J-Lo
bill,
passed
and
then we
on
gonna indict Michelle?
and on Kamala Harris in terms of her record, right? I agree with you
Yeah,
on all that, right? But sometimes when the racism is behind, like it's not in your face, right? Because there's racism in everything. You're right? White supremacy everywhere. But when you just rub my face in the white supremacy, I'm fine, right? It's why I didn't watch football for a couple of years.
I still
I
can't
watch
watch
football
football.
because I'm like, yo,
Colin
man,
Kaepernick is my
all these
adopted
companies,
son.
all these companies are racist. You are right. But the owners of the NFL just rubbed my face in it. They were like, look,
Right.
boy. And I'm
Colin-
like, yo, I can't watch. I can't watch.
Colin took that knee on my birthday. That's my adopted
But
son.
listen, what I'm saying is this, brother John, and everybody else. Okay, so we said that Trump's racism was visible, and
In your
Biden's,
face.
yeah, and Biden's racism is more political.
Well, no, I think it's a little more complicated than that too, because all of us were complicit in Biden's racism. He didn't pass that bill by himself.
I
Right.
kicked
He
Bill
didn't pass it
Clinton
by himself. He
behind.
got
He did.
congressional
He
black
did.
caucus,
But he
black
was
mayors.
I
one
one of the
primary
few
advocates,
Negroes
but he didn't pass
that
it by
kicked
himself,
Bill
but he was one of the
Clinton's
primary
behind
advocates
before he
and
became president.
writers and formers of that bill. And I'm saying if we look back historically at what that bill did to black men in
Oh,
particular,
God.
and we had been
Signed it on
hoodwinked-
Mumia's
hold on,
birthday.
And the family.
I'm with you,
Well,
dog. I'm with you.
let Hawk talk.
Signed it on Mumia's birthday.
Let Hawk talk. Hawk was in the middle
We
of it.
have been hoodwinked. We have been bamboozled. We have been led astray by
What a
Clinton's
muck.
Come on, talk to me,
insidiousness.
Abdul
We was
Hakam.
calling Clinton the first black
Oh, my
president.
God. Ah!
Now, in retrospect and in hindsight, we see just how racist Clinton and his policies were towards black folks.
And
Mhm.
Obama was
So,
his son.
Absolutely.
We had Trump at the forefront saying what he meant and meaning what he was saying as it relates
Yep.
to black folks. So at
Yep.
least we can have our guard up and we wasn't rocked to sleep. But is what you're saying the reason that Malcolm said what he said as it relates to one of our worst enemies as a people in this country are the conservatives and the liberals? Because
And
they
I-
do us good on one side and then
Fox
they
and the
get
wolf.
Congress
And
and they
I'm
pass laws that are adversely opposed to we as a people in our community, but yet we are mad at a man because he stood up and his racism was more overt instead of covert. That's what we want, Brother John, to be rocked to sleep.
I'd rather have it covert than actual people coming out to lynch us right now in the streets. Like, I'm just saying, man. Like, they came out with the Confederate flags.
All of
They
this
were ready to
for
kill.
Set Michelle.
Like,
No,
I'm
sorry.
just
I'm
like,
sorry,
yo.
Pastor Roundtree and Pastor Ali. But let me say this.
What-
We hold on. We can't be led astray by the misleading vividness, where a dramatic event causes us to react and respond in a way where the statistics don't suggest that or don't support that. So when you look at Trump and you look at quote unquote him empowering white supremacists, okay, how many black folks on average, I'm saying on a consistent basis, are really up against white supremacists? I'm not talking about the police force. We know that. But I'm saying the Proud Boys and these other white nationalist, white supremacist group.
They're the leading cause of terrorism in the United States. As in,
But not,
and
but
when they
not
commit
towards black
terrorism,
folks, though.
no. When they
Not towards
commit
us.
terrorism, they kill black people. When those white supremacists commit
I'm not saying
terrorism,
that they
they're
don't,
popping
brother,
us
but I'm
off.
saying the way that it's being reported in the level. I'm saying you saying okay they kill black people, but the way that it's being reported is sensationalized. I'm saying I believe.
It is a lot of the deaths
Nothing
don't
has
even get
changed.
reported. No, I'm just saying a lot of the deaths that are now lynchings don't get reported as much. But if you look back at the leading cause of quote domestic terrorism, that's white supremacists. Their victims are usually us, right? So I'm just saying, like when they're talking about Al Qaeda, no Al Qaeda, no ISIS, white supremacists, and we're usually their targets.
Brother John, it's nothing new.
You're right.
We've been getting lynched by white folks under
Yes.
Trump.
Yes, but no, I'm saying the last 20 years, right? Like so when Trump is like saying, I'm down with white supremacists, I'm down with people who lynch you, I think that's just a little step too far, and my musical taste gets mixed up, right? Because like if it's, I mean,
well, listen, let me say this. Black folks in this country have always been juxtaposed or in between a few good Quakers and a lot of bad crackers. That has always been.
Right on to that. Right on to that, little brother. That's right. A few good Quakers, maybe 3 of them, and a lot of crackers. That's right.
No. I believe that every white man and woman have a little bit of Trump in them. So let me say this about Dr. King. Dr. King said, I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in our stride toward freedom is not the white citizens council or the Ku Klux Klan,
but the white liberal.
But it's the white liberal or the white
letter from the Birmingham jail.
Who wants order more than they want justice.
Yes, but I do think that just
eloquent statement.
But absolutely, and I agree with you, and I love the line about Quakers and crackers because
yes, sir, love that. I'm gonna put that in the poem.
So that was excellent. But I'm just saying the ability. What happened with the 1994 crime bill, we as Black people have to take some responsibility for that too, because we called for it. We allowed it to happen. We were in the Democratic Party. We were the mayors of the cities demanded it. The Congressional Black Caucus voted for it. All of these people voted for it. And like, we're not really getting what the consequences of that would be. So when you're like Joe Biden, and I'm like, yes, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, but guess who's complicit in all that? Other Black people. I think that is just as much a matter of like them as it is us not doing what we need to do to have our own strong communities where that stuff is not where we're not susceptible to that, right?
But
let me get in it. Why
would we complicit? Because again, we was rocked to sleep by the political charisma of Trump, of Clinton. You understand? The highfalutin language of Clinton. So we was not on our P's and Q's and we was not on our guard. That's what I'm saying.
Nah,
let me say this. Let me jump in just for a minute, right? Because I'm one of the few people that blew the whistle on that cracker Clinton before he became president. Clinton became president first by organizing a right wing within the Democratic Party, the Democratic Leadership Council, exercising what they call the Southern strategy. What is the Southern strategy? To take the Democratic Party to the right, away from so-called civil rights, away from worker or labor or union rights and labor organizing, the collective bargain, away from its progressive center, right, to the right, to get white men in the South to come back to the Democratic Party. That's who Bill Clinton is. And people were mad at me for putting this behind on blast way back then. And a lot of Negroes in their incestuous, mentally ill relationship with the Democratic Party went along with that. And
Bill Clinton is a Southerner.
Well,
from Arkansas.
Sorry, Brother Ed, Brother John, Pastor Ali, Reverend Roundtree.
You ain't gotta be sorry. Let's rock and roll.
We still got off to a good start, but go ahead, Brother Ed.
All right,
all that behind Cassette Michelle.
And this is the disciple show. I'm gonna let the disciples do their thing, and I love the back and forth. I always love the back and forth, but I don't want to get in the way. I want to get in the way with what y'all doing. So this is the disciple show.
I like it all.
I'm sorry, Brother Ali.
And I'm gonna go back to listening to what you
said. Good segue, Brother Ed. Go ahead. I think it's a good segue.
Well, no, I listen. I mean, Ali heard it all. I'd be interested to know what his perspective is since y'all started it off on such fire notes.
Well, I think in essence, I believe John is a debater,
Brother
I
Ali,
believe-
you on mute, brother.
He got me on mute because I'm
No,
off
no,
mute here.
you're here. You're
I'm
on.
free.
We can't
I'm
hear him
free.
though. Can you
You
hear
I
him?
can
hear
hear
me?
you well. Can you hear him?
Oh, I can't hear him for some reason.
Zaid, can you hear him?
Yeah, I hear him fine.
Yeah, I
I
hear
hear
him fine
okay.
too.
I got it.
I can't hear brother Ali.
You got to
can't?
come in.
No, I can't hear him. It's like
All right,
he's on
so
mute.
what I'm going to do, Minister Muhammad,
Can
I'm
you
going
hear
to,
me now?
I'm going to take you out and we're going to put you back in again and see if that affects what you're hearing.
I think in actuality, the reality is we've been put to sleep by all politicians. The bottom line, and I think Bill Clinton is a Southerner, i.e., he's from Arkansas.
Can y'all hear?
He was
I
the
still
governor.
Can't hear him. I see.
He was
I
the
see
governor
him,
of
but I can't hear him.
Arkansas, and he was just trying to bring his boys back on. It became too much Northern influence and West Coast influence. He was just trying to make the South valuable again.
Actually, can you, Minister Muhammad, can you hear me? Wait, hold on. Let me put him back in. Maybe he can hear Minister Muhammad.
Can he hear you?
Is he here? Hold on. I'm not seeing him back here either.
Wait till we get back in the studio.
Okay, so he might have gotten out of the studio. All right, so he's joined the stream again. We'll see.
He's coming back on now.
Now, Minister Muhammad,
Okay,
can you hear
I
me?
hear him now. Yeah,
You
I
hear
can
me?
but
He
I'm-
hears me now. Okay.
All right, good.
So back to what I said, John is a great debater. The reality is Bill Clinton and all of his other friends in the South had become very invaluable, very hidden. So what he did when he was the governor of Arkansas, he started rallying his buddies together, and they wanted to make the South the forefront of America again. And that's why he formed what he did with the Democratic Party. And because he could play a saxophone, black folks
come
thought
on,
he was
man.
one of
Hey,
us.
y'all, what would have made me sick?
Mm,
How you go from John Coltrane to Bill Clinton?
yeah.
That was nauseating.
See, that's all a white man got to do
Is play an
a
instrument.
saxophone or show that he got a little rhythm. And what black folks be so knocked out over a white man that show that he got a little rhythm or maybe what appears to be style. And black folks take it hook, line, and sinker. We drooling at the mouth. We foaming. We become like little sycophants. And I'm saying that.
That's right. Something
like,
mentally ill about that.
Yeah, I'm saying that type of foolishness have to stop. With
What
us
the
as a
Southerner,
people,
right?
because
What
we
did he
have
do?
Who was that?
He visited Harlem. He came to
Yeah,
Harlem.
Clinton.
He went to church and he played a saxophone.
Went to the
And
Apollo Theater.
He stopped by the Apollo Theater and Sylvia's restaurant, and they swore out that he loved us.
But
Well,
see,
he
if you look at
didn't just do
behavior,
that. I mean, remember, Clinton opened up his office on 125th Street.
Oh,
but
yeah.
see- but see,
We had
if
a
you look at this
rally
type of
against it
behavior-
behind.
If you look at this type of behavior, brother Ed, the origin of this, man, on every plantation they had what was called the plantation manual. So white folks, I mean, they understand the game of causing us to make something is one thing when it's really something else. And that's why we have to be on our P's and Q's, and we got to be very mindful and very aware as it relates to them and what they say, and then looking at what they do. Because based on their history, we are not justified to trust them. I'm sorry.
Mm.
And I think that
They got a whole lot to prove that they ain't racist here.
And I think that in the 1994 crime bill, I think that, like, I agree with what you're saying, and I agree with the analysis. And I think I would just add that the black middle class, like, I think everybody had their role in our communities being messed up, right? The black middle class didn't care. It's not like we were lulled to sleep. We benefited from a lot of that politics. So the black middle class benefited. We had our jobs. We had our positions in Congress. We had our positions within the Democratic Party. I think that there were even when you're dealing with the responsibility of, we lost control of our communities, right? Like, we were scared of our other members of our communities, and our other members of our communities were preying on us. Crack scared the hell out of everybody, right? We had not seen what crack could do so fast to people, and so people were scared. Right? So we couldn't talk to each other in the community. We were scared of each other within the community. And yes, we were preyed on by white supremacy, putting drugs and guns within our community, but we were also, like, preying on ourselves, right? Like, so I think that all of these factors came in. I think there were so many different causes that are all legitimate, right? So when I hear the 1994 crime bill and Joe Biden, I'm like, yes, absolutely true. And it's kind of like, if you like, white people are responsible for all of these ills that come into our community. Absolutely, right? But if we look at what we did then too, I mean, that I can't play innocent. I can't be like, oh, there were people who were not going along with that. And I think we need to be stronger in our community. It's not that we were asleep. I think we were self-interested. I think we were not awake on what we needed to do for ourselves.
I think there was a segment of us that was, because there always been this
Madam Donna's ready to join us.
Historically, there always was a buffer class that white folks used to keep the masses of their people docile. I guess they called it the talented 10th. There always was a segment among us that showed greater promise, that showed greater skill, that had a certain acumen. You understand? What they called the mulatto elite. There always was that among us. That's where the middle class come from. There was that group of black folks that white folks selected to use as a buffer to keep the more
House
revolutionaries, the Denmark VCs, the Nat Turners off their behind. So we have always had that. This is where you get a lot of these fraternities. That's the origin of a lot of these things. Because black folks, then they begin to believe the hype that, yeah, I am different. I don't want to be with them. Because to the slave, oftentimes more important than freedom was status. And status was based on our nearness to the slave master, whether that was
to the house,
or whether that was biological. So we
House
always
Negro.
wanted to be near him. We always was trying to ingratiate ourselves with master. Always wanted to be at the big house. So there always was that class of black folks that he made think were different from the darker Negroes, or the Negroes that were that maybe wasn't as skillful, wasn't as intellectually aware or knowledgeable. So you always had that amongst us. But I'm saying the masses of our people were deceived, and they were asleep, and they were psychologically dead. There was only a select few. There's always a select few among us that he choose, that he send to school, and that he's trying to keep separated. You understand? From the masses of the people that he could help. But I mean, it's nothing new, Brother John. But I'm saying that I'm not trying to absolve us of any responsibility. I'm not trying to do that. But when we talk about Joe Biden, and I was telling Ed, I already see black folks online, black Twitter, referring to Joe Biden as Uncle Joe. Brother, we got the unmitigated gall to call him Uncle Joe. But if you don't know what it was, you
instead of calling themselves Uncle Tom.
But listen, that's not the first time. We always
of course not.
Identify white folks by these patriotic, not patriotic, but what's the word I'm looking for?
Loyal.
Family terms.
Yeah, these family terms. So Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Do you know we used to call him the Great White Father?
Wow.
Look it up. We used to call Franklin Delano Roosevelt the Great White Father. Why? Because he began to open up the cabinet and give black folks jobs. So he gave us what? The New Deal. But history shows us that it really wasn't a new deal. It was the old deal. There's a book called When Affirmative Action Was White. And it shows how many of the early policies as it relates to affirmative action was really for white folks. The European immigrants that were coming in. Because we were artisans. We was the masons. We had all the skills. So there was a saying among the white labor union, never let a nigga pick up a tool. So white folks could not compete with us in the labor. So what they had to do, they had to equal the playing field. So they began to pass all of these laws that would give them the one up on us. And then we had to ultimately become the strike breakers. So I'm saying that, again, I'm not deceived. I'm not under any illusion as it relates to Joe Biden. That's what I'm saying.
And to agree with you on that.
Young man, you are not alone.
And to agree with you on that, you know, one thing that Joe Biden has not mentioned at all, and Kamala Harris have not mentioned, I have not heard them mention at all, is we will end the prison industrial complex. I mean, they just need to say it and try to do it. They could do it. It should be a priority, but they're not doing it. And guess what? You have a lot of black people who are just like all in and
breathing on you. Right.
Not only are we all in, It's not that we all in. We all in on the wrong thing. I was just telling Brother Ed, what's all over Black Twitter? We talking about Michelle Obama clothing. How good she looked.
She did look good though, man.
But yet this man leaves the podium. We so enamored by Michelle Obama's clothing. This man leaves the podium and signs almost 17 executive orders. And not one executive order was anything allocated specifically for Black folks. He got about 6
Have mercy, you better talk, Minister Abdul.
He got about 6 or 7 just on immigration. And the immigrants did not save him. His campaign was done. But we had Stacey Abrams, right? We had our sister down there campaigning for Joe Biden, campaigning for the Democratic Party. But
don't forget the old Negro from South Carolina.
The president's desk, and with the stroke of a pen, you signed 7 executive orders, maybe more.
17.
So it was 17, but I'm saying it was maybe 5 or 6 just about immigration.
None had to do with police brutality. None had to do with anything about reform policing. None had to do with. I don't even know if any of them had to do with Black people in particular. Right? Like,
no, he was trying to unwind what Trump had signed.
Right.
He was trying to go back.
And if you look at his legislation,
he actually went to the left of Clinton on the immigrant question, because that's Clinton made this same mistake when Clinton first came in. Instead of bringing him in, and then they would have become citizens and voted for his behind. And he lost the Congress right after that.
So listen, you all have had a real heated conversation. We now have, Queen Roundtree with us, right? And I would like to take it in another direction and ask Queen Roundtree, since she's aboard, to talk a little bit about, because Hawk and I talked about this today, to talk a little bit, if you would, about, and Donna, you here too, because we were talking about how, some of the sisters, in terms of how they will, they had their pearls on, they had their Converses on, and so forth. And so Hawk had a peculiar opinion about, where that was going, almost in the same vein of people calling President Biden Uncle Joe Biden. So what was your view on having seen Kamala Harris being sworn in, and now Vice President, the first Black woman, first Asian of the United States? Roundtree, you first.
I'm first, but let me say this, because y'all know I wasn't going to miss this night. This show, since it's the year of the woman and the women are doing great things, I am in the street doing what I do. But at the end of the day, Kamala, and listen, women always been doing this thing from back in biblical days. Yes, I was excited about the girls and pearls. Yes, I was. I put my pearls on too, but I wear my pearls every day, Donna. So it wasn't just because Kamala. Yeah, I stood with y'all. We stood together. But women been doing this thing all along, all the while. All the while. It was just time, and it happened, and we thank God that it happened. So when you ask me what was my view on this particular thing with the women and the sisters, they've been doing it all along, and they're going to keep on doing it. Now we got somebody sitting down there, and we pray. Listen, I heard somebody say, look who she married to. But the truth of the matter is, we're going to pray that it's about all people.
Look who she
I knew somebody said it.
I said it too.
That's the flag.
But to make a difference for the African Americans, that's what they say. I don't know. We just gonna see. We gonna watch as well as pray. Minister Abdul Haq Muhammad said this one thing: that them 17 executive orders that was signed. What was it? Okay, what he said, y'all heard it, and I'm not gonna repeat it. But the truth is, we're going to watch as well as pray. I'm going to be very, very careful about what. See, once you say something in the atmosphere, you can't take it back. So before I put it out there, I'm going to make sure that I chew on what I'm going to say real good before I put it on the air, because people are listening and watching. And I want to make sure when I put it out there, it's going to be out there and it's going to be good.
Right.
And two things, what Minister Abdul Haq says, I agree wholeheartedly. That's my brother. When Brother Al speaks, that's my brother. I stand with him. Sometimes we all might have differences of opinions, Mr. Donna, but the truth of the matter is, when it's right, it's right. When it's truth, it's truth. And truth will always be, oh God. Anyway, a lie will travel a long way. Truth ain't going to make it but so far, but it will stand. and you brothers are speaking truth. But this sister right here, Sister Donna, this ain't nothing new we doing. Kamala, they just giving us what we already worked so hard for. Annie Lou Hammond said, I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. The people spoke and they was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. So we got this sister rather than a lunatic sitting down in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue that threw his own boy under the bus and left him in that building to be hurt. Come on, you know what I'm talking about.
And so Donna, give us your viewpoint on that.
Well, you see me that I had on my orange Chuck, my Converse Chuck Taylor. So I had my Converses on and I had my pearls on, and like Reverend Roundtree, I wear Chucks for a long time. I mean, they're not the most comfortable sneaker, but we were doing it as a tribute to Kamala. And I have to say to Vice President Harris that she actually changed the game because as she was out here on this campaign trail, she didn't traditionally put heels on and try to keep up and have some heels, a black suit, pantsuit on, because she said she wasn't going to do that. But she put something comfortable on while she was out doing there, and the Converses were her comfortable shoe for whatever she has been doing for some time. And the pearls and Girls and Their Pearls, as they would say, is a tribute and a nod. She is a member of the AKA sorority. So that's something they have been doing, and it's something that we have continually done since First Lady Obama, Michelle Obama was in office, Girls and Their Pearls. So we continue that on in celebration of women and just showing their femininity as well as the power. I just think that there was a lot of different tributes and things in the outer garments that people were wearing. In terms of Vice President, her purple was a tribute to Shirley Chisholm, as I went back and read. I told my pastor, I know he's going to have a whole sermon because he's an Omega man, he's a Q, but that was actually a nod to Shirley Chisholm. So there was a lot of symbolism on the outward appearances, but there are a lot of things that we have to delve into that has to be done. Now, I'm actually printing out the 30 executive orders, and as Pastor Ali has already alluded to, many of those executive orders were undoing, aka stop the building of the wall. There was stop. Some were some undoing. So as we continue to talk, I'm printing those down so that I can actually look over them. But I will say, and Minister Hawk, when you first came back, it was that we always can't respond from a position of weakness. We have to get our agenda together. We have to be responsive, and we have to continue on the path of making our ask known and following up on that ask. On Monday, before the inauguration, regarding the immigration, I started getting tweets from that persons supporting the birthers and the babies that are here, as result of the immigration, the DREAM Act. And they were saying now that Biden and Vice President Harris is in office, now we have to hold them accountable. So I've been getting tweets about that all week prior to the inauguration, and that's them holding true to their agenda. Now we have to make sure that we have an agenda, and we have to have a follow-up process too, whether it's phone calling, tweets, whatever, to make sure what are our top 10 asks. And Ed, you always speak about what is our Black agenda, and make sure that we're following up on those things so that we make sure that what we're getting, we're not, and you're right, it was the Black people again who are saving the United States, saving the Democratic Party. But we can't just be so reactive. We have to make sure our asks are known and following up on them asks every day.
Well, let me say this.
Campaign.
I think that it's not a fact of Joe Biden being unaware of what we want. He knows what we want. When he sat down with the civil rights leaders, we were asking him for what we specifically needed and wanted. But it seemed like the theme of his talk was telling us what he ain't gonna do. I ain't gonna do this. I ain't gonna do that.
And that is a
He
very
had-
familiar
no,
mantra.
no, no. First of all, his whole tone was very disrespectful. And then I see him yesterday. He's standing at the podium and he fervently says, "If I see anyone talking down to anyone, I'm firing you on the spot." Well, we need to fire you on the spot with the way you were talking to the civil rights leaders, Sharpton included, all of them. I mean, his tone was very disrespectful. This man even said, "The hell with you all." That's what he said. He wasn't even in a seat yet. And he's talking with this white arrogance.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
but Minister Hawk, that was a staff meeting that he said that to. Now he said, and I think if that the staff meeting, he said, if I hear anybody talking disrespectful to one another, disrespectful is not going to be tolerated here in this administration. And that, go ahead, somebody. Oh, I'm sorry. So that was a part of the staff meeting that response was to.
Well, okay, well, thank you. But anyway, his tone again was very condescending, and it was a lot of what he wasn't gonna do. He talked about how it was him that raised the issue at Charlottesville. Listen, this is what I'm saying. This man is not naive, nor is he ignorant. And he knows what black folks want because, hell, we've been saying it for the last 460 some years. So he's not naive to what we want. He sat down at that desk and he signed those executive orders. Okay, he was undoing what Trump did. I understand that. But we are the reason that you were able to sit in that seat at that Oakwood desk and sign those executive orders. So to me, from my estimation, Black America should have been your top priority. And I don't think we're asking too much in demanding that from him. See, we don't want any trickle-down BS or this benign neglect that the Democratic Party do. We want what's owed to us. And I think that's the type of gumption, and that's the type of spirit that we have to have when we're dealing with this man, because he is a politician and he knows the game of politics.
I think that's it. Ali, what's your perspective on that, my brother?
Very well.
I think you might be muted, Ali.
Unmute me. Okay. I believe I agree with Abdul Haq, Minister Abdul Haq Muhammad. I also believe that in essence, we that are close to him have the demand from him. I just had a tweet come over where it said that Schumer said that the impeachment trial will not be starting until February 9th in order that they won't slow the Senate confirmations of many of his cabinet. And so they switch up stuff so quickly. I believe that it's at the time, not only the people that are closest to him, just like they raided that and marched on the Capitol and turned the building out and got the attention that they needed and wanted, we're going to have to turn out some things. Not in the same fashion, but we're going to have to turn out some things and turn up the heat on him. And that means we're going to have to heckle him when he come to our churches, heckle him when he come in our neighborhoods, heckle those that are close to him. And not in a negative way, but in a positive way, that we just don't go back and say, okay, he's there now. Like we say, like it was brought up, nothing was talked about the prison. Now, Trump pardoned Lil Wayne. He gave pardons to a whole lot of folk. Okay, here it is, you're in office. What are you going to do? Why are we still talking about political prisoners, et cetera, et
Mayor
cetera?
of Detroit,
Yeah, Kwame
Kilpatrick.
Kilpatrick.
Now,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
And some others.
So I guess the thing is that I agree, in terms of us putting pressure on them. But I guess the question I'm asking now is that how much pressure do we also put on our elected officials? Because remember, our elected officials were also the ones who were coming in our community who told us, they didn't use the term vote or die, but they were the ones who put pressure on us to make sure that we went out to vote. Yes, we all agreed that Trump needed to be gotten rid of. We all agree on that. However, the time to negotiate is never at the end of something. It is always at the beginning of something. Although all of the brothers and sisters in our community, told us that we could trust Joe Biden. right? And as Hawk said, we're now calling him Uncle Joe. Okay, so if he's been elevated now to a family member, the question is, can we go to our family member and say to Uncle Joe, well, Joe, you did all of these executive orders. However, there was not one that was specifically to black people. And so we feeling some type of way about that. And so either he's gonna say, get the Frank out of my face, or he's gonna do something specifically as it relates to black people, other than giving some black folks a few jobs. So my question is when do we begin to put that kind of pressure on him? Because he obviously didn't do that, in his first day in office. As Hawk said, he did sign some executive orders that were specific to the immigrant community. And as we know, it was not the immigrant community who saved him in South Carolina. We also know it was not the immigrant community who saved him in Georgia. We also now know, according to Mayor Baraka last week on his show, he said that what we now know is that white women voted and voted in greater numbers for Trump, and it was black women who voted in greater numbers to get rid of Trump. We now know that evidence now exists.
That's right.
So what do we do now?
Well, listen, let me say this. Also, we know that Kamala Harris said, when they asked, I'm not just going to sit here and say I'm going to do something specifically for black people. No. Now, I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm not trying to be that. And I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. And I'm all for progress. But I think when it comes to black folks specifically, this is plantation progress. Because progress on the plantation was always measured by proximity to the slave master. And the closer we was to him, the more progress we thought we was making. And that's why James Baldwin said that the American idea of racial progress is measured by how fast you can become white.
He called that the price of the ticket. That's right.
So I'm saying that I'm all for progress. I'm all for true progress, but not symbolism that looks like progress. Because we've seen this over and over and over and over and over again. When Obama was in there, we was all happy. Black folks was running around waving the American flags. We had them hanging on our cars. We thought, you know what? We are accepted now. We got a black president. And we seen how that turned out. So how is the Biden-Kamala administration going to be different from the Obama-Biden administration? What's going to be the real difference? Because already he getting off to a horrible start with these executive orders that he signed. And don't dare say we asking for too much. Man, it's only the second day. What you mean it's only the second day? It would have been no day if it wasn't for black people in America. His campaign was done. He was stumbling and fumbling all around the country, and black folks came and we threw him a life raft because he was drowning.
And with that saying that he was drowning, let me just reiterate this, Brett. And we also need to keep pressure on Vice President Harris, because I believe she's the one who will finish the term. I don't want to be a prophet of doom.
Oh,
but
Lord.
I don't want to be a prophet of doom, but Joe don't look that well. I'm sorry. And
that's a very serious. It's a very serious question.
That's real deal. That's real deal.
It's real.
At the beginning of Trump's administration, the question was whether or not he was psychologically fit.
Right.
At the beginning of the Biden administration, the question is whether this old man is medically fit.
Yeah.
Well, and with the pressure to go with the office, he may not survive it. And she will step right into the seat.
That depends on how he serves the people. Based on what Minister Abdul Haq is saying, I don't mean to just cut in, but that depends on
started wrong. He started already wrong, so he on a bad foot.
Right.
I agree with you. I agree.
And I'm saying I don't think that we're asking for anything unreasonable. He said it himself. He pronounced it and he said it himself that it was the African American or the black community that rescued him and saved his campaign. So for us to now even have to be here pleading on the second day when he sent out and signed a bunch of executive orders, you could at least act like he was going to do something specifically for black folks. But again, the last hired, the first fired. We always got to get the short end of the stick. And I don't think that black folks in this day and time, we have the patience as our forefathers are. Not even our forefathers, but I just don't think that we have the patience. And I think that this administration will soon learn that very quickly. They're going to have to come to that realization.
And I put it up. Go ahead. I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
No, Donna, you.
No, I was just saying, I just wanted to print out the executive order so I can have in front of me. So ones that affect our community, the ones that restores collective bargaining power and worker protections for the federal workers, because the federal government is the highest employers of the African American community. And then the ones that goes to extends the existing nationwide moratorium and evictions, extending existing pause on student loan payments, and and this one rescinds the Trump's administration's 1776 commission, directs agencies to review their actions to ensure racial equality, and that was kind of to the 1619 project. Trump had came back with this 1770 project, so I'm glad. Right, and it rescinded that, and then and last is the requires non-citizens to be included in the census appointment of congressional representatives, and that right there would have they were trying to factor in how the congressional lines were going to be redrawn when the count is finished. But then as I looked through most of them were rescinding a lot of them, and then the majority of them had to do with the coronavirus and how it's being doled out and in an efficient way that it was moving forward. So that was
I would agree with like just a lot of what was said, in that they already know what to do in terms of black people. They were told, they talked to civil rights leaders. They know that the prison industrial complex is the main thing, and nobody talks about it. And I think that it goes back to what I was saying before. And what Hawk is saying, there's a black middle class, and I don't think they really care about the prison industrial complex because they really don't talk about it. The meeting that he had with the civil rights leaders was, don't be too loud, don't say defund the police, don't say any of that other stuff. And I could see if it was just a rhetoric thing, but it seems like he's like, well, I'll get the policies done, trust me, but we can't get it done now. Like, go through the back. Like, what are you talking about? Right?
No, like, wait, Negroes.
Right, and so
they always telling us to wait.
Exactly, and so I think that
Wow.
So I think that the problem right now is, I think that the black middle class is complicit. It's really just about AKAs, pearls. It's about Howard University, but it has nothing to do with the policies that affect black people. We are still, and it's cool. We can celebrate yesterday. I don't begrudge anyone a celebration, but when we get so into identity politics, that's it. That's all they have to do.
But also remember, there's a 50-50 split. And one of the things that they were discussing as well is that, so you have the 50 Democrats and 50 Republicans with vice president being deciding. But when it comes to a lot of these policies that will be coming down the pipeline or coming forth, there's really not a 50-50 plus one, because you don't really have everybody in the Democratic Party that's going to agree. Case in point, this first thing that's coming up is this stimulus check. There's already talks right now that the remaining 1,600 to that from the 400 that just came, is that they don't even have the 50 Democrats to sign on to see that go forth seamlessly. So there's that party, there's that fight also amongst themselves, that there's not a sure 50 Democrats on the policies that are being brought forth.
But even though they have brought up immigration first, and immigration, everyone knows is controversial. They don't have 50 votes for that right now, right? They know they're gonna have to work for it.
Right.
That's why he signed the executive order. But
but he put up the actual immigration bill. That's going to be one of the first things they go for. He put that up front and center. This is legislation that needs to be passed. That's not an executive order. He put out executive orders on immigration, but he also put out a specific bill. And so that's what I'm talking about.
And he mentioned that he, even before he got in the seat, he mentioned that immigration was going to be his priority. But again, as Sister Donna was talking, I just thought about something that the late great Booker T. Washington said. He said, "Show me a race living on the outer edges of business and industry, and I'll show you a race that will be a football for the political parties." And that's what we have been as a people. And it's really disheartening that when we're talking about Black folks, that we have to keep going in this circle. It's 50 here. You understand? And that's why what Brother John said, he don't got everything in house, but he made sure that what he's trying to do for immigration, it's there. But see, with us, it has to be, well, maybe I don't later on. We always have to wait. And as Dr. King said, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, our freedom and justice can't wait.
Yeah, and to be clear, I think what he's doing on immigration is the right thing. I think he needs to have the bill. I think they need to fight for that. I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying that, like, you know, the people who there is no way that, given his backing and his support, that a strong civil rights legislation should not be front and center. We couldn't even get the Attorney General. They wanted agriculture, couldn't even get that. They gave a HUD, and frankly, I think we should have gotten HUD anyway, right? How we not? We always get HUD, right? We should always get HUD.
We talked about that the last show.
Right.
Part of our conversation, agriculture, the farmers, and we talked about all of that. I guess they didn't get the memo when we had the show, but
nope. Or they did, and they were like, "Nah, that's too much."
The stereotypical position, HUD.
Right.
I mean, you know, I guess.
Well, his first appointment, over Department of Defense was the that appointment went through, or the waiver went through.
Yeah, but how does that affect us, right? Is he going to do? Are there Black defense contractors? I mean, they're Black farmers. I got agriculture. Like, are there like, is that just something is that just a face? Like, there's this symbolic stuff that you give us Black faces and we cheer and we dance in the streets and we celebrate. And like, like, were we celebrating when they were locking us up? I mean, it has to be about more than identity politics, and you give us a Black face and we're happy. And that's all I'm saying.
That's right.
Symbolism. It has to be more than that. And I'm saying that as a people, specifically in this instance, we deserve it. It's a matter of public record that we delivered him to the White House when he wasn't even worthy for us to do it. This man don't got no track record of doing good by Black people specifically, but yet, okay, we wanted to get Trump out. And we hand delivered the White House over to this man.
If Kamala Harris wants my support, Joe Biden want our support, continued, whatever. I mean, there's some really easy things they could do and should do. I think the first thing they should have said at the inauguration, part of Joe Biden's speech should have been, we're not just we're going to fight white supremacy because they went into the Capitol, right? But no, we are going to end the prison and industrial complex. We are going to end white supremacy in our criminal justice system. We are going to do that. That is going to be at the top of our agenda. I mean, I have not heard them say that. When everybody knows the criticism of Kamala Harris is you lock Black people up, and that's why white people like you. You got the vice presidency because there are a lot of Black people you locked up, and white people trust you more because of that. So I mean, but we caught up in symbolism.
But that's not totally true, John. She really got the vice presidency because Black women demanded that, right?
They went out. They showed up.
That's right. That's exactly right. Black women said,
it's like they came out for Obama. Stacey over in Georgia, you had people
actually, we did not come out for her in the primaries. We did not vote for her at all.
No, not in the primaries.
Right? No. But that's not my point. My point is that we did not pick her Joe Biden picked her. There were a lot of other black people who were like, Ed, you would like Stacey Abrams.
No,
and I'm
he
like,
didn't.
and
No,
I specifically said to him, I specifically was like, don't black woman, don't say black woman, say Stacey Abrams.
John, listen to me. John, listen to me. Stacey Abrams and her were both competing for the job, right? What I'm saying to you is that, you know, what goes back to what you all were saying earlier, she was a more acceptable Negro, right, to Joe Biden. Joe Biden didn't necessarily pick her because remember, his wife didn't even want him to pick Kamala Harris because of what she said on the campaign trail when she said, you know, she said, well, Joe, she said, weren't you the one who were against busing? And she said, I was one of those little kids. Remember, that was the punch.
Yeah,
that was the
right.
death punch on the campaign trail. So so Joe Biden's wife did not like Kamala Harris. So it wasn't him. It was all them young black women, right? And I'm telling you, John, listen to what I'm telling. John, I'm telling you, private conversation as a part of, man.
No, Ed.
I'm telling you,
I'm telling you all the stuff that I read.
John, listen to what I'm telling you. You don't know nothing about these conversations with all these sisters around the country.
Young sisters wanted her.
John, listen to what I'm telling you.
Remember, young black women wanted Kamala Harris.
John, you ain't listening. These young black women on purpose said to Kamala Harris, they told Joe Biden, we will not campaign for you if you don't pick Kamala Harris.
Who young black women said that?
John, you're not listening.
Which ones?
John,
who, Ed?
Listen, and I'm telling you,
give me a name.
Way, listen to me, John. The same way you just heard what Abdul Haq said, that he saw Tamika Mallory put up a post where she had a bottle of Ciroc, and she was saying she was taking the day off.
You're telling me Tamika Mallory supported her beforehand?
Well, yes, she did support her beforehand.
No, I mean, like, when it came to the vice presidency between Stacey Abrams and other black women and Kamala Harris, you're telling me Tamika Mallory was like Kamala?
Yes. Yes.
All right, but you got the only thing that I read was
that you, John, that is why they didn't pick. That's why they didn't pick the sister, right? They picked her because she was more acceptable, right?
To Tamika Mallory?
No, not to Tamika Mallory.
Because you said two different things, brother. You said black women were
vice president. That's not what I'm saying, John.
No, what are you saying, man?
I'm saying it was Stacey Abrams and it was her who were both competing for the job. Those were the two that were competing.
So let me get this right, Ed. You are saying that because you're saying, this is your word. You're saying Tamika Mallory chose Kamala Harris over Stacey Abrams.
Yes.
And that's why she was chosen.
No, that is not why exclusively. It was.
But that was the major reason.
John, it was her and a whole other young black leaders, black women leaders, right? Who chose Kamala Harris.
When Tamika Mallory comes on the show again, we got to talk because that's a lot. I would talk to Tamika directly and ask her, did she choose? I'd be like, yo, were you held responsible for choosing Kamala Harris over Stacey Abrams?
John, you listen. John, listen at what you're not gonna do. You're not gonna have anybody who come on this show and come on them and then put them on the spot legally.
You did.
Yeah, no, John. But I just told you. John, listen at what I'm telling you. I'm telling you that there were a group of young black women who chose Kamala Harris, right? And I'm telling you that there were phone calls that were made that went out and said, unless they picked Kamala Harris, that what was going to happen was that they were not going to campaign for that ticket at all, right? Listen to me, John. And you yelling is not going to be able to make your point more pointed. What I'm telling you is that what we're not going to do is we're not going to ask her a legal open-ended question to put her in jeopardy somewhere down the road. We're not going to do that today.
Right, you're the one that brought a name up.
What I told you was that there was a group of young black women. That's what I told you. And I told you Tamika Mallory was one of those sisters. But there was a whole other group of young sisters that were there who also said that, John. Right? So you oohing and ahhing and yelling, John, don't do that.
So Ed,
John,
I'm
listen to what I'm
clarifying.
telling you, John.
I'm clarifying, Ed. Because this is breaking news.
John, the way you saying it is that what you're going to do is cross-examine her.
Ed,
Right? You're not going to
you're
cross-examine
just
her.
giving
like
me
that.
breaking news, brother. So
I'm
you're
giving-
telling me
John,
that the young.
John,
I'm
you're not
just
listening.
asking for clarification because I haven't read
So
this
much
anywhere.
for the disciples.
John, you're
Yeah,
not
I know.
listening. You're not listening to what I'm telling you.
But even going back
What
to
you're not going to do, John, is you're not going to cross-examine Tamika when she come on the show. That's not going to happen, right?
and even
Fair,
to
but
but
I'm just saying you're giving me breaking news I've read nowhere else.
That's your breaking news, but you're not going to cross-examine her.
I'm just saying there's no other sources. You're the source of this. There's no other sources. I ain't got no other sources.
But what I'm saying, but remember some time ago we had a guest on and she was specifically talking about polling and how you get to from a thought concept to an actual ticket. And what Ed is saying is that through polling, through different groups and things like that, that the consensus was that Kamala would be the better ticket with Biden than anybody else. So that seems to be the consensus. And at the end, and I remember John going back a couple of shows that at first the question was saying it should be a woman, a black woman, and then we were saying we have to be more specific. And so that's the thing. And even going forward, any of our asks, we have to be specific. We have
and I agree. I'm just saying the breaking news that I heard right now from Ed is that it was specifically young black activist women who called for Kamala Harris above Stacey Abrams and everybody else.
Look at the way you keep positioning it, right? What you keep doing is you keep positioning it as though now there's going to be some sort of beef between these young black women.
No, I'm just clarifying.
No, John, listen to John. I'm fucking trained to ask questions. Don't do that.
And I am too.
Don't
so I'm asking you questions.
Don't do that, John. What I'm saying to you is you're not going to cross-examine Tamika in that way. You're not going to do that, right?
I'm cross-examining you. I'm asking you,
and I'm giving you, I'm giving you an answer to your question, right?
And all I asked was
John, but you keep going. After I give it to you, you go right back to it.
Right, and it was just further.
You don't need to keep going over it. I gave you the answer.
And we're good. We're good. But I'm just saying that's breaking news.
If we're good, and Donna just explained it to you, why do you keep going back to it?
She explained something different than what you explained.
No. What she did was she gave you another layer to what the conversation was.
All right, but it was different.
John, okay, so you want to keep going back?
Ed,
John, I'm telling you,
the disciples
John, this is the disciples show. Let the disciples talk. I'll let the disciples talk. I got clarification.
No, John, we're good.
John,
what you need?
We're good.
John, we're not good because you're gonna go right back to it.
We're good.
Disciples.
But Minister Hawk, we left off last week. I'm getting feedback, Zaid. Minister Hawk, and I talked to Pastor Ali about this, and Reverend Roundtree, I had tried to get you. We had talked a lot about healthcare last week, and it was a great conversation, but it was a part of the conversation and not a focus point. And one of the things that I told, because we talked about North Community Health Centers and Minister Hawk about having a Black-owned hospital. But one of the things that I thought this was important before you guys leave is that the 31st is the end of open enrollment for the Federal Health Care Act. And we in New Jersey have a very, very robust program. We didn't have that when the Federal Health Care program first rolled out. But now we have a young lady that sits there who is doing a yeoman's job in getting this information out. And for persons who do not have health care, who have not enrolled, and who may not know that the 31st is the deadline to enroll in the federal health care. And I just wanted to make sure that you knew that, and that perhaps Reverend Roundtree, I want to send you the sister's names to see if we can get her on just to talk about all the work she's doing now that we have a navigator in the state of New Jersey and the work that they're doing in terms of people enrolled.
Is there anywhere, Donna, that people can go to read up on it or get more information reference to it?
Yeah, as y'all close out, I'm gonna put it in and then let Mike put it up. But I'll put it in so as y'all finish. And I know you probably know of Reverend Roundtree, so I'm gonna send you her name. But it's really, you know, the 31st is the deadline. Is that what I know? But I'm gonna put the information, like the North Community Health Center, that's probably a navigator, but I'm gonna put it up. But those are places to January 31st. If you don't have health care, you need help, the 31st is the deadline. And that's really big because they're doing a great job in New Jersey now.
Thank you so much, Sister Donna. So, you know, that's our time.
And I have to apologize about that.
No.
So-
I think it's good as a part of the conversation is what we're talking about. And I think that as time go on, we're going to have more heated discussions in reference to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So, you know, it definitely was informative. And I thank you and Brother Ed. But Reverend Roundtree, I know we have passed our time a little bit. Any closing remarks? Was she still on?
Well. This has been very interesting, very informative, and very passionate discussion tonight. It's always uplifting and encouraging to have Brother Jonathan and Brother Ed, and of course my colleagues that Pastor Ali and my brother Minister Abdul Haq Muhammad. It is much needed, especially for those who tune in on Facebook Live and to this particular program. The information that's shared here is information that might not be heard anywhere and explained as thorough as it is here of not just opinions, but some facts and concerns. So I'm just honored to be amongst you great scholars and activists and men of God and women. My sister, Councilwoman Donna, to be a part of even the learning process for myself. The changes that have been made, and everyone's excited about what took place in November, and even more excited about what took place on Wednesday. But we need to get excited about pushing the agendas for the sake of our people. And as Abdul Haq has said, Minister Haq has stated, and Pastor Ali and Brother Ed and Brother Jonathan, if we don't get together and stick together and push an agenda instead of being push our agenda forward instead of being pushed in the back, there will be more issues that we face later on down the road. And the writing is already on the wall. So I don't have any announcements, but I just wanted to make that statement today. Thank you, Brother Ed, once again, and my minister, Abdul Haq Muhammad, and Pastor Ali, and for allowing me to be on this number one. Okay, now back in your hands, Minister Abdul.
Go ahead, Reverend.
Pastor Ali, any closing remarks, brother? You on mute, Brother Ali.
Okay, I just want to say great dialogue, great show. I want to say it's very important for our brothers and sisters that may be not insured to get insured. Insurance is so expensive. I'm telling you from somebody that knows, somebody that pays well over $1,000 a month for insurance premiums. If you can enroll, get enrolled. And then I want to say one more thing that Principal Caffelli said in the comments. He said if we stop giving them our vote, then they'll start listening. But I'm paraphrasing, but we give them our vote without any requirements. Here we go. When we stop delivering votes, we will have their full attention. Right now, the black vote is taken for granted because it is given that it will be delivered. It is a given that it will be delivered to the Democratic Party with no demand nor agenda.
That's my Principal Caffelli.
So I don't want to miss that, what he said.
Yes.
And Chair, go ahead. Sorry, Pastor.
No, I'm done.
No,
I'm done.
I just
I'm
want
done.
to thank everybody for tuning
Wait, but
in
Abdul, so
today.
you can have Minister Haq. I want you to have the last word, but Chairman Ham sent us an article on how Vice President Harris was picked. So he sent us an article for our reading, okay?
He sent some written documentation.
What did it say?
He sent something written.
Like,
Zion, he sent something written.
Hey,
He
Mike
sent some
Donovan, what did
evidence.
it say though?
Wait, Mike is getting ready to put it up real quick.
Yeah, what did it say Hey, because Brother Ed and
Everything
Cal
Rick
had a
ain't
heated,
ever either.
they had a heated discussion. But anyway, so I just want to thank Brother Ed,
Mike.
Brother John, Pastor Ali, Brother Zaid,
Yes, sir.
Roundtree. Thank everybody for being on with us today. And I just want to ask this question: are we all familiar? I
you.
know we all know David Jefferson Sr. from
Yeah.
Metropolitan.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
but he's been a staunch critic of Governor Murphy. And I know on Monday, this past Monday, they had like a town hall, and he's been doing
Really?
that, calling out Governor Murphy, talking about inequality, many things that Governor Murphy promised. Of course, he, you know, he's not happy. The brother from the New Jersey Institute of Social Justice was also on there, Ryan Haygood,
Ryan.
who has been a critic of Governor Murphy, keeping his feet to the fire. So maybe that's something that we need to look into doing, Brother Ed.
He's going to be on the
Brother
show in
Roundtree.
February.
Okay.
Oh, okay, good.
Who's
So we
gonna
got
be
the
on the
article.
show in February?
Ryan Hagan.
Ryan.
Oh,
We got
okay.
the article up there. How Biden chose Harris. A search that forged new stars, friends, and
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's
Yeah.
a good read. It's a
So-
good read.
All right, well, we'll get into it. So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Brother Ed, again, Brother John, Pastor Ali. God
All
willing,
right.
we'll see you all next time.
Love you.
Disciples. Thank you so much. May Allah bless us all.
Minister Hawk, talk to you
Peace and love.
soon.
Peace, y'all.
Okay.
All right.
Love you,
And so,
Councilwoman. Love you guys.
Love you. Love you.
God bless.
Peace.
all right. And
Bless
that's,
you.
thank you. And thank you so much. And again, my apology for, I mean, I just was going to just throw on, I just meant to say Chrisette Michelle and jump off. I was just trying
you
to jump right
started
off.
some
My
caca.
goal was just to say, hey, I'm listening to
started
Chrisette
some
Michelle
mess.
again. I'm listening to it now. And I was going to be out. I was going to be gone. It was going to be the disciples.
Man.
My bad.
Then they
I
go,
just got
listen,
drawn
You
in.
Negroes wasn't even talking about the Bible. You started talking about that crazy woman.
I just can't. Chrisette Michelle, I'm listening to her. Yo, she sounds good, man. I've been listening to her for 4 years. That woman can sing.
They probably paid her. They probably paid her very well to sit in front of them germ spreading white folks and make that music.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is all politics.
Before I leave, y'all know y'all got a miracle on here today, right?
What's that?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Rockmine.
Absolutely, absolutely,
That's right.
absolutely, man.
On
That's,
the ranks of the survivors, beloved. Yeah.
that is one of the things we're going to be talking about. We got a lot of survivors
Right
on
Yep.
this very show.
Councilwoman Donna, Brother Zaid. And now you can add to that number another miracle, Rahman Muhammad. Living to tell the story. Assalamu alaikum. God bless.
No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Man, y'all got tonight, man. I'm in so much pain from this shoulder injury. I don't know what I did to my shoulder, man.
Oh, so when you were leaning over, I was worried, and you're like, it's a shoulder injury. I was like,
I don't know what I did. I think I lifted something, must have pulled something. Oh, God, is it pain? I done took Percocets, and that ain't helping.
oh man,
Right, you're not 18 no more.
to hear
You're not 18 no more. That's the problem, sir.
Huh?
Your body. I said you're not 18 no more, sir.
Yo, I'm telling you, that's crazy, man. You get older, man. Everything start following off. Yeah, your bones and everything. Anytime the way you walk, everything, man. It's just fine.
But you're doing a good job, man. I see you online with all of the with these bicycle thing, man, like that you're doing. But let me just give you a proper introduction. We are very happy. We're getting ready to start the next segment. I'm very happy to have Deputy Mayor Rahman Muhammad on. He's a frequent guest, and he's always lively opinions. I always have fun in the conversations. He is incredible with rhetoric. He is an incredible speaker, strategist, former union leader. Used to do a lot of negotiating. Right, still does lots of negotiating, working with a lot of people, making some people mad, some people happy, and sometimes different people at the same time, right? They're happy one day, they're mad the next day, they're happy the day after that. So I'm honored to have him here. He's an incredible thinker, I think underrated thinker inside of our community. I learn a lot from him. So thank you for coming on, man.
You're welcome, brother. You're welcome.
Deputy Mayor Rahman Muhammad. So let's start talking about what you posted first, because a lot we're just going to get through you know,
let's
so
let's
the
right
guns.
now, let's give you a hug. Let me give you a hug first. So first, I'm glad to
Fair.
see you back. I just
Needed
know
my-
you
right now, I don't
energy.
know what I
So
did.
thank you.
This shoulder is killing me, man, but I gotta pull through it.
Oh man, and so the hugs, absolutely. I thought of you on the show after I saw one of your posts, right? Like when you were talking about guns and you were talking about legalization of guns, and you're talking about the gun rules in New Jersey, and you were talking about like, you know, like they're discriminating against Newark, they're discriminating against Muslims. What's going on with getting legal guns inside?
I mean, I don't know if any of you been to a gun store lately, but they got everything: guns, bullets, and I like to know who buying them. And I know buying them. The problem that I have is when we get licensed and we try to purchase, they delaying our stuff. And you know, I called the senator office. They doing research on it because I asked them to get involved in this and ask the state police and try to do some sort of census on, are they just delaying urban areas? Are they delaying people with exotic names? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I would like to know, is DiVincenzo weapon delayed? You know what I'm saying? I'd like to know, you know, people with vowels at the end of their name. Is it delayed? Is the Smiths delayed? Like, I want to know. And the problem I have is these gun laws is draconian, and they're draconian because we Democrats, I want to be very clear, have sat back while these people have chipped away at our rights, while other people are arming themselves, and we're not doing anything about it. And I'm starting to look at some of these Democrats later. If you don't support the Second Amendment, I'm going to have a problem with you.
I think after this election, a lot of people are talking about that. One of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show about that is because, you know, we really don't talk about it in the political sphere. Like, Black politicians don't talk about the Second Amendment. You know, you have different Black activists who will talk about it, and you will have, you know,
I ran a Second Amendment organization.
Right. So, and can you tell us about that?
Panther Party, New Black Panther Party, Black Panther Party, Second. It was all about self-defense and the right to bear arms, right? But New Jersey is one of those states where, as Rockman was alluding to, right? Not only do they have strict regulations, but when you try to apply and go through the so-called process or through the letter of the law, they just ignore your stuff altogether.
I heard that's especially true.
Yeah, now, this is what I tell folks who want to get licensed. Our neighboring states, like Pennsylvania, that have better gun law states, right? Apply to one of those 5 friendly states that are friendly to New Jersey, and then come back, right? But you may have 9 out of 10 times if you want to get something, you got, especially if you look something like I do, right, or have my kind of background, you have to get it somewhere else first. But before the process will move for you here.
Wait, so what you're saying is that, and maybe with Rock My Mom, this might be a strategy, even though it shouldn't have to be, right? People shouldn't have to be. We should just be able to, use our Second Amendment rights the way everyone else has their Second Amendment rights. But you're saying the strategy, like, you have known this problem for a long time to be such a problem that you advise people to apply for guns in Pennsylvania. And then after we're licensed in Pennsylvania, then go for the license in New Jersey, because that way it'll move faster.
Yes. Yeah, it's ridiculous that we have to do that. What needs to happen, to Rockman's point, though, is that there needs to be a body that has the capacity that actually does an investigation.
Right.
That documents what we're talking about. So this is not anecdotal, right? That documents this, so we can take this into a legislative process or into a court and get some kind of justice on this, because it's clear to those of us who've been through the process and see it, right? There's something is definitely amiss with this.
Well, not only that, I think it's important that we understand that Jersey laws are so draconian that they don't recognize other permits and all that other stuff. So, I mean, you got to be careful. And the bottom line is, it's already difficult for people to get a gun permit or gun licenses to purchase. Why do we got to go around the bush and beat around the bush? Like, that's crazy. What we need to do is and I'm organized. I'm a union people, so they'll piss the wrong person off. What we need to do is create an advocacy group that's African American to get up in these Black politician faces, because I promise you, The only reason why the gun laws are the way it is because black people in the Democratic Party have sat on their hands and done nothing. And let's be very clear, Jonathan, historically, we have armed ourselves as a people. Historically, we have armed ourselves as a people. And what we've done is every time guns get mentioned, we made it a bad word.
Right.
And so people associate with, like, I didn't tell you I want an AR-15, but as long as somebody else can get one, I want one.
And Rockmont, are you familiar with Straps Gun Club in Newark, New Jersey?
Yeah, that's Jason. That's what I'm joining with.
Oh, okay. So you are familiar with their work. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
But let me say this, right? To that point, right? Whenever there has been a movement to restrict guns, it's always been it's been in response to either something that we were doing,
right,
that we were trying to do, or to keep guns out of our hands.
Right.
The Black Panther Party had its first major growth spurt when the state of California started to restrict the right to carry around the Panthers carrying to check the police. And when the Panthers did an armed demonstration on the state capitol, right? That was the first major growth spurt of the party. And then you began to see states enact all these other statutory regulations that made gun laws strict at that particular time. And we have not been able to come out from under that since then.
And the ironic part about all that.
But listen, to Rockman's point, those of us who actually got organized around that, the growth of black gun ownership organizations is healthy, necessary, logical, practical. It should absolutely be going down. And we should not shy away from making that a part of our political agenda, because in the end, we have the right to defend ourselves.
Exactly. They out here talking about a civil war, and they telling me I can't get
we can't have nothing. Please.
They people crazy, man. And we supposed to sit back and allow, and I'm gonna say it again, Black and Latino legislators. I'm not just gonna blame it on Black and Latino legislatures who make up a bulk of the Democratic Party have accepted these draconian things, while other people, I made that post, I'm dead serious. While other people arming themselves, they're supporting the disarm of our people, and it's putting us at risk. And I'm telling you right now, I just can't deal with it no more. Like I said, I'm an organizer. But brother, when you go to the gun store and there's not a weapon in the damn thing, bullets. I bought the bullet thing is shortage is so bad. I bought stock in the ammo company.
Right.
And Rockman, just to be clear, that you went and you're saying you went to a local store to get a gun or to get ammunition, and there was none in stock, and there's a long waiting period. And to what Zaid said, are you saying that normally if you go out of state, it's like a quick process, but when we try to do it right here in our community, particularly the urban communities, it's a longer process. There's a lot of factors. Is that basically what's going on, Rockman?
Listen, I got my license. First of all, I applied for my license in May. I just got it January when I came back as a survivor of this COVID thing. That's how long it took for them to give me my license. Now, I got the license to purchase long guns and shotguns, and then I got the license to purchase handgun. Now, with a handgun in New Jersey, one, you can only get one every 30 days, and they give you a 90-day time period before it expires. And so if you want multiple handguns, then you have to apply for multiple. Now, I'm not a fanatic. I just want a weapon to protect my family, because these people out here crazy. And so when I went to the first gun store in Rahway, I promise you, it was empty. I mean, nothing on the damn shelf. It was empty. I went to Route 22. They had a few. I wound up buying a weapon that I said, okay, I can live with this one. It wasn't the weapon I wanted, but I said, you know what? I can live with this one. It's a 5-day waiting period in Jersey. They got to take you. Now, once again, I already got it signed off by the state police. I already applied. Everything is done. I done bought the weapon. And it's over a week, and I called them. I'm like, yo, what's up? They come out, oh, the state police put a delay. A delay? I want my weapon. What are you talking about? So I'm supposed to wait until after people start shooting to be able to protect my family.
You got one of those names there, Rockman.
Yeah.
You got one of those names.
Zaid. Now, what's crazy about that, Zaid, because there was a Muslim police officer that called me that same day. And he said, Brother Muhammad, I'm telling you, it's not because you're Muslim. because it happened to me. I said, well, there goes the point. You're a Muslim.
Right.
Duh.
Right.
And
don't
it's
have,
also-
don't have no profile like me. I can't own nothing.
But he thought because he was an officer, somehow the Muslim thing
It wouldn't matter, right?
It wouldn't matter. And
Yeah,
I'm like, brother, the fact that you telling me it ain't got nothing to do with being Muslim, and the fact you saying it happened to you, brother, you speaking for you speaking what I'm speaking.
Good point.
And I've heard anecdotally that it happens disproportionately in Newark as well. I have somebody I work with who's white, lives out in the suburbs, and they're like, when they lived in Newark, much more difficult to get the license. When they moved out in the suburbs, easy, easy, quick. The address was different, the zip code was different, the license was quick. Right.
Another thing, Jonathan, that I'll come back because it was a point I was trying to make. I'm so much pain, bro.
Oh man, we want to make sure that you can take care of yourself too, man. Because I'm a little worried about you.
Man, I just got to deal with it. Man. This is what you got to do in America, bro.
What you just see up there is the website for Straps Gun Club, with Rahman had mentioned earlier, and it's a black owned gun club.
Love it.
Okay.
And
No.
that's the point I wanted to make, John. The other thing is, I don't think police officers should be determining rather a citizen get a weapon. I think there should be some sort of independent board because the police officers don't want you to have a weapon. They definitely want black people to have a weapon, folks. And that's what our delays in our community is about. Trust me.
Absolutely.
When I tell you, I can guarantee you, if Senator Wright's office does a census based on the delays, that the majority of the delays is going to come from urban communities. It just so happens it's going to affect people with exotic names like myself more. I can bet any amount of money.
Right. And clearly with everything that we know about implicit bias, there's no reason why like that'll be one of the things we study and we'll be like, yeah, we knew that.
Yeah,
right. Like, why do we need a study on that? Because we need a study on that. We need a study on that. So thank you for coming on for that. I want to ask you also, we're going to ask you about electoral politics in terms of, just what you think about the elections. But I think I want to go into the COVID thing, right? And talk to you about like, I know that Donna survived COVID, Zaid survived COVID. When I saw that you were that you came down with it, then I was very worried, and I'm glad that you were okay, brother. I'm glad that you are better. And just so people people who are listening know, you're in pain from your shoulder.
Yeah. I think I pulled it. I was picking something up the other day in my garage. I think I pulled it. But go ahead.
Okay, but you've completely recovered.
I wouldn't say completely. I think my lungs is damaged. Like I'm still throwing up. I'm coughing and throwing up. So, you know what I'm saying? It's
lingering.
I think my lungs is damaged, but hopefully it'll get better eventually. Hopefully it'll get better.
And I'm sorry, John, because you just started riding bikes recently, right?
Yeah, I was riding bike. Well, we've been riding bikes for years, but I did this time what I did was the low carb diet. So I lost a lot of weight during that time.
And I asked that, do you think that probably, have you started riding or you're not up, your strength is not back?
I broke my ankle in October, so I can't do the bike until the bike riding season in April.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna have to come around with a wheelchair for you, bro. Let us
I'm telling you. But I want everybody out there to understand that COVID almost took me out.
Yeah, COVID is, I'm sorry.
So Donna talked about that as well, and Zaid, you talked about a will to live. Like you just had to, like you both talked about at a certain point you had to push to live. Can you talk to us about like just what is it like at the end of the day? What do you have to tell people about this?
The first thing I would tell folks is that it's not just dangerous. It's not just widespread. It's not just easy to contract. It is very sneaky and highly unpredictable.
Right, that's the problem.
It can come at you in so many different ways, hit you so many different ways, have you reeling for an indefinite amount of period. It is so many. It's so wide. So wild. It's a wild disease. That's what I call it, right? because it's not confined to any set of symptoms or whatnot. It'll just take you any number of ways. First thing I'll tell everybody is this, right? If you haven't had it, thank God. Do everything in terms of precautions that you possibly can to stay fit and to stay well. Everything from social distancing and covering, but also building your immune system up, right? The thing that I did that I believe had a lot to do with saving my life was that I was a pneumonia sufferer several years ago. So as the winter season came in, I started detoxing my lungs just so I didn't, have another bout with pneumonia, because I just didn't want that mess no more. We knew nothing about COVID at that time, right? But it came out that in the end, when that stuff attacked me, it attacked my digestive tract, right, and not my lungs so much. It still had me down and almost out. But and the thing about it also is that once it gets into your system, if you're not aggressive in fighting it back, it moves, right? And you don't want to get so still that it moves and winds up, attacking your lungs anyway, So it's really, really loaded. But the whole question, folks talking about their immune system and doing this and these herbs and you're laughing at them, don't laugh at them. That'll give them a better chance to survive it if they get hit with it.
Yeah.
What do you have to tell us, Rock, in terms of like your experience and what you?
Man, listen, me and my wife got in at the same time. My wife, y'all know she in the military. She just came home. We were supposed to have been spending 2 weeks together before she went back, because she's back in Jordan now. And we went, because her family's in Florida, I met her in Florida, and I contracted it right away, like right away. I contracted it. Wow. And I flew in that Tuesday. Thursday, I started getting the symptoms. Friday, I had it. I took the test. And it started going on. Now, the people said that give it 10 days and you should be good. Now, my wife, she went through it like it wasn't nothing. And what the doctor said is that women have 2 X chromosomes. So they don't hold on to colds and viruses too long. But men don't have men got Y chromosomes. And so we do. And so, they told, when they was calling for the contract chase, they would say, you got to stay quarantined for 10 days. You should be good after the 10 days. But like Zaire said, depending on what's going on inside your body, COVID's coming after that. With me, I got a bad liver. And I told my wife this because I promise y'all, me and my wife was talking about life insurance. And I told my wife, I even texted the man and said, I don't think, I said, brother, this is winning, man. It's not, I said, it's taking its toll on me. I don't know. And I didn't know. And the deal was that I was getting the only deal that saved me was the fact that I didn't have breathing because I was using Buckley's.
What was this?
That's one of the strongest over-the-counter cough medicines. It's an old school cough medicine that is hard to find nowadays, but it is very good.
Got to order it on Amazon. But that's the only thing that saved me as far as that was concerned. Because they was like, if you're breathing, come in the doctor. If you're breathing. But my breathing didn't affect me because that Buckley was breaking that phlegm up. And I was just spitting that phlegm up. So that wasn't the issue. But I was in excruciating pain. I was coughing so violently that I was throwing, bro, I didn't eat for 8 days straight. I was still throwing up. I hallucinated for 2 days. I was hallucinating for 2 days. I was talking to my dead partner and God for 2 days in a room.
Wow.
And so, dude, that is how close I was. My wife on the 12th day, like I said, you're supposed to be done on the 10th day. I'm on my 12th day, and it seems like I'm progressing now. I'm reading up on it. Now, they said, if you have not changed by your 10th day, on your 18th day, chances is you dying. You dead.
Oh, damn.
Brother, that's what it said. It said the progression for the disease, if it has not turned on your 10th, then by the time you turn 18, your chances of being dead is greater. And so I'm scared as hell because it's my 12th day and it's getting
that's real. I had to go through 2 quarantines.
Yeah, and so I called my doctor up here, which I'm changing. And if anybody know a good black doctor, let me know. I called my doctor up here and I asked him for a Z-Pack. He told me, oh, Z-Pack ain't gonna work. That's a waste of time. You just gotta pull it through. So then my wife said, well, listen, if we ain't going to the hospital, I didn't want to go to the hospital in Florida. But she said, if we don't go to the hospital, then I'm taking you to the doctor. I said, well, I go to the doctor. We went to one of those city MDs. And the guy, I told him what was going on. You know, he looked at my chest. He said, you don't have pneumonia. He said, but however, you got upper respiratory infection. I'm going to give you nasal spray, and I'm going to give you a Z-Pack, which should also help you with your COVID. And as soon as I took that Z-Pack, I promise you, on the 13th day, I could feel my body switching. Now, I asked my doctor for it. He didn't do it.
Now, what is a Z-Pack?
It's antibiotics.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a natural antibiotic I want to share with everybody. It's called silver. It's silver. It's liquid silver, right? And that helped me in my digestive tract because that's how. And I had the lingering effects through my digestive tract for better than almost 2 months, right? But when I started taking the silver, that gradually started calming that down. That is so hard to get now. Was COVID hit? People are buying that silver up like crazy, right? But if you can get it and just have that as something stashed, you know, for whatever, you know, I would encourage you to get it. I want to acknowledge Principal Kafele because he was on it. He too was a survivor. He was grateful to that you survived, Brother Rahman. So yeah, he said, praise God for your recovery, Brother Rahman. So I want you to get that shout out. But yeah, this thing is wild. It is very deadly. I just lost one of my best friends a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
He had a pre-existing condition that was asthma. The treasurer of my New York organization is going through it, and it went through his whole family. And their average age is 65 and up.
Oh, man.
Wild card, right? It's just a wild thing. Well, one of my organizing daughters, her mother is in ICU, right? Yeah. We're not, even though there's the advent of vaccines, some with more effectiveness than others, and that's a whole nother discussion, right? We are not from under this yet. You know, folks got to be careful.
Right, and they say it's going to get worse. They're talking about this new one that's more contagious. It just got people just wanting to stay inside and not go out.
It's hard, but I would rather y'all stay alive. I really do.
Yeah, man, don't take the chance. It ain't worth it, man. I mean, I had to take, like I tell people, I had to take the risk because I ain't seen my wife, and you know what I'm saying, it is what it is. But I'm gonna tell you something, brother. I promise you, man. It was close, man. I'm telling y'all right now. I tell people all the time, it was close.
It also sounds like real love too, brother. I'm glad y'all got that.
Yeah.
Right, man. Like, so I'm definitely glad to have you back on the show. We're gonna definitely have to have you back when you when you were feeling better. And because I know you're bike riding, you hurt your foot, you hurt your shoulder, you got COVID, man. Everybody's gonna give you a hug right now. Everybody who sees you, in Newark, if you see Rahman Muhammad on the street, well,
don't grab my shoulder.
Don't grab his shoulder. Right.
Give him a Wakanda hug, right?
You know what, Jonathan? Outpouring the support.
No, we're gonna give a virtual hug.
A virtual hug. Yeah, like you gotta go like this, right? 6 feet away.
I do want to thank everybody. I mean, the outpouring of support that I got, the inboxes, the text message was crazy, but I couldn't respond because I was that sick. And I know people were like, for a minute there, I scared a lot of people, man. For a minute there, I mean, I'm telling you, because I wasn't responding, and everybody was like, yo, what is going on? Like, respond. It was calling my wife, and you know, to asking my wife. My wife was reassuring him he's just sick, but he's still alive. But brother, I wasn't responding. I mean, I was so, brother, man, I'm just thinking back at those days. 8 days I didn't put no food in my mouth. Listen, I was on Pompano Beach, Jonathan, and I was sitting down. I had my mask on. I'm sitting down, and everything in front of me just started getting black spots.
Wow.
Everything in front of me started. I thought this one, I thought I was gone. Everything in front of me was getting black spots. My wife was in the store trying to get my daughter something to wear. And so I tried to get up. I fell down. I tried to get up again. I grabbed the door and I screamed in there, Erica, you have to come on because I'm about to pass out. So I go and I fall on the bench out there. And next thing you know, Jonathan, I just start throwing up everything, just sitting there. Oh my God, it looks so nasty on Pompano Beach. I just,
been there. Mm-hmm.
Oh man. I don't, listen. So, folks, I got every symptom. And I tell people, my lungs feel like it aged 10 years.
Wow.
And because it was the cough was so violent. When I went to the doctor, he was like, yo, this is a violent cough. I gotta, I said, I got cough medicine home. So he said, I said, yeah, but it's not gonna do too much. And it worked for a minute. Then, I said, but I'm gonna go, take it. But I'm telling y'all, I promise you, folks, it ain't no joke. If you got anything other issues going on with you, it will focus on those issues. Me is a liver, and it focused on that. I told my wife it's past COVID. I told her
you're gonna have to do some serious detoxing of your liver.
Yeah,
right? And that will help you. That's one of our systems that we need to detox on a regular basis anyway. But if you've been through that kind of stuff, and that's because the liver filters your blood.
Yeah.
And if it's got to your liver and your liver is compromised, that stuff will stay in your system. You got to detox your liver.
Well, you know what, Rahman, even, to hear you and, close my eyes and remember how sick I was. And like you said, that's a sickness I can't even define. But to turn on something today and to hear people still discussing whether COVID is real or not. That to me, yes.
You were crazy.
Some of our kids out of their damn minds with that.
Yeah, but these ain't kids.
When you got people like Gail, Kevin, Donna Jackson, that ignorance, they're pushing it for a fee. That's the problem. What get me about these clowns, and anybody can tell them I call them clowns. What get me about them clowns, please tape it and send it to them. What get me about these clowns is anybody that they're doing it for a fee. They're getting paid from these people to push this misinformation in our community. And these people think they're going to come in 2022 and run for office. I said, there is no person in the city of Newark, in a majority minority town, where we got all these things going to be able to run for office, talking about they oppose mass vaccinations, and they questioned rather the damn disease was real. When we had all these people that died, man, y'all, they're gonna get laughed at off the stage. Trust me when I tell you, because I'm gonna make sure they remember it.
Wow, no, that's real, right?
Yes, sir.
That's real. Like when people are talking about us trying to get to the other side of this and what we need to do and just how we need to just stay distant, and with the vaccine stuff, right? Yeah. Like, I think that those vaccine conversations and actually we're running out of time, but what is your opinion, Rahman? What is your opinion on the vaccines?
As soon as they let it free, I'm taking it. Hey, listen, when you sick, Jonathan, and this is real, and I tell people this, and you go to the doctor, and the doctor said this is going to help you. You don't know what medicine or what it is. They call it. See, people want to scare people because it's a vaccine, but they give you pills, they give you syrups, they give you a bunch of stuff that they give you, and you have to trust your doctor that this is going to make me feel better. When the doctor gave me that Z-Pack, I don't know what's in the Z-Pack, Jonathan. All I know is an antibiotic, but I don't know what's in it. I don't know when it got made. So all I got to do is trust that this medicine that the doctor gave me is going to make me feel better. And so when that vaccine is available for me, trust me when I tell you, brother, I'm taking it.
Fair enough. And because a lot of people are talking about these conversations theoretically, but it gets real. So
to everybody listening, especially those listening to the first time, I'm proud of our crew for the conversations that we've had. We've had very developed conversations on this with survivors, with institutional administrators, with workers. We had a broad conversation. It's been highly developed on this, right? And folks can go back and listen to them, right, on our previous shows on YouTube and on Facebook, and listen to listen to Sharif Al-Attab, right, who put himself on the line to take the vaccine before it was cleared, right? Leading by example on this, and not too many people are willing to do that. And I'm not telling anybody just to run up and line up and take the vaccine. Do your homework and do what's best for you
with your doctor.
Well-being. It's right?
With your doctor,
your well-being, your own judgment, right? But avail yourself of all options.
Yeah.
Right. Don't be ignorant about it. Don't be willy-nilly about it and think you can't get this, because you're smart or you're cute. It will kill your smart, cute ass. Just like in the killing, I almost killed my ugly ass.
And Brockman, I'm glad to see you back. And as you know, and I remember you first posted, so I'm glad to see you on the mend. And I know, just knowing you and your spirit, that in a month you'll be better and so on. But I'm going to just ask Jonathan if we can just book him for early. He'll be back on before, but for late March, early April, so we can go out and do a bike ride with you, because I'm excited about how this bike riding group is evolving and different things that you guys are doing. So as the weather begins to break, I'd love for you to come back and talk about that as well. So.
Oh, definitely. Bike riding and politics, because, you know, we'll get into all that good stuff. So thank you so much, man.
Okay, man. Y'all take care, bro. All of y'all. Peace.
All right, you too, man. Appreciate you as always.
Feel better, beloved.
Yeah, get some sleep. Appreciate you as always. That's All Politics Are Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. We got you coming on again, and we have actually for this next segment, we can introduce. We can have Zaid Muhammad introduce this next very important segment. Like I think America forgets that we have political prisoners, and we forget about people who are locked up. But Zaid will do the introduction for this. Hold on, Zaid. I think your mic is. That's all right.
I'm steady running my big mouth. This is muted as all get out. I apologize.
That's all right. Sorry.
I was just saying I'm very glad and proud to have this young man with us. He's a very distinguished voice amongst us, an emerging voice that needs to be heard. He's got a platform and a mantle from which to be heard that is quite prominent, and I hope we unpack some of that too, because tradition matters in our culture, right? He is the pastor of the historic Witherspoon Street Baptist Presbyterian Church, right, in Princeton, New Jersey. A longtime activist, right, and has put together a clergy campaign that has some 47 clergy people calling for the release of one Sundiata Acoli. And that is a part of a larger strategy that we're just unleashing to call for Sundiata's release. Who is Sundiata Acoli? Sundiata Acoli, his slave name is Clark Squire, right? He was the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Army, right? And it was in that legendary New York chapter that faced some of the worst attacks from the state in terms of its attacks on our movement, and was with on that turnpike on that fateful day on May 2nd, 1973, when a racial profiling stop, changed everybody's life in a horrific way. We lost Zaid Shakur, that horrific incident, one of the best soldiers and negotiators of the Black Panther Party. The state police lost a trooper by the name of Werner Foster. We could get into the details of the case if we want to, but that's really not it at this point. The point is that this man has been in prison going into his 48th year, has done more than his time, has been approved for parole by appellate judges almost 7 years ago, and the parole board is virtually sentencing him to death by abusing the parole process, right? It's time for Sundiata Acoli to come home. So we want everybody from the top of this conversation to rock the new hashtag, Bring Sundiata Home. And that's also a part of a larger humanitarian strategy in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. You cannot social distance in no prison nowhere on this earth, right? And there have been calls in every state in this country to release those prisoners who are no risk to society because of their age, or infirmity, or who are at the end of their sentences, or on low-level offenses. This Sundiata should have been released on that alone when New Jersey released those handful of prisoners that it released several weeks ago, but that didn't happen, right? So he needs some special attention, and I would dare say, by virtue of him belonging to that generation that made the entire earth stand up and respect and appreciate the struggle for dignity and justice of the Black man and woman in this country that was particular to his generation. And then they didn't just stand up and applaud our struggle. They rode the backs of our struggle. And everybody benefited from sacrifices that people like Sundiata Acoli made So it's time for us now to appreciate his sacrifice and do what's necessary through the humanitarian channels at our disposal to see to his release. And I will let him and let y'all have a serious discussion about that and the place of tradition coming out of our Black church tradition, our Black prophetic tradition, where that can be very strategic and helpful. Welcome to the show, little brother, Lukata Mjumbe. Welcome to all.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you and with all of these great hosts of this this phenomenal platform to talk to our people. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here on behalf of the Sundiata Acoli Freedom Campaign. And I mean, you said it all, or you said most of giving the background out Sundiata Acoli himself and much of what people should know. And so I am urgently excited about this campaign to bring Sundiata home. He has been in prison since 1973, going on 48 years, will be 48 years in May. But we have committed that this is the year. This is the year that we will bring this brother who turned 84 in prison last week on January the 14th, locked in a prison cell, yet another birthday in prison, that this is the year that we will bring him home.
And you heard me talk about the COVID cover, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about Sundiata's encounter with COVID.
Well, you know, and that's the let me just say this. For decades, there have been many people who have focused a lot of attention and a lot of time talking about the historical details and the context of Sundiata's arrest back in 1973, have talked about the state apparatus and the counterintelligence program, and many of us, I hope most of us, are familiar with that legacy and that history. And there have been cries for freedom and justice for so many who were targeted by the counterintelligence program of the United States government for decades and decades and decades. That's how I first came to know about Sundiata back in the early 90s when I was a college student and I was working for Amnesty International USA. And I had these long lists of all of these women and men who were connected to various movements, the Black Panther Party, the New African Independence Movement, who were connected to the anti-nuclear movement, the Indian movement, the Puerto Rican independence movement. There were a long list. And so I began to write letters to a number of different people. And that's how I first connected with Sundiata back in the early 1990s. Yet what is so compelling for such an even broader audience of people today is not simply the historical context, which is very important and we've talked about a lot, but it's the fact that this man is now 84 years old. Last spring, he was diagnosed with COVID-19, and I needed knee pads. I was on my knee so much praying that he would not die. And I talked about earlier how you, as much younger men and people who are much younger women, you know, reached a point where they felt that they were on their way out. Well, so many of us were praying. Many were finding religion for the first time. Many were praying to whatever God would listen. They were praying to Jesus, Allah, Brahma, Atman, Buddha, Tupac, whoever it is they prayed to, praying that he would live. And yet again, miraculously, this brother survived. He's still living. He was COVID-19 positive, but in the midst of that, it created a space where more people started to listen. And it was in this context that I was able to reach out to faith leaders, to Christian pastors, to Muslim imams, to rabbis, to faith leaders from all around the state, urban areas, suburban areas, Black communities, white communities, brown communities, English-speaking communities, Spanish-speaking communities, large communities, small communities, mid-size, that said, wait a minute. This brother has been in prison since 1973. This brother is about to turn 84 years old. This man is COVID-19 positive. We are in the midst of a global pandemic where, for the state of New Jersey prison system, have the highest death rate of any state in the country from COVID-19. And Sundiata is a New Jersey prisoner, meaning he's in prison on New Jersey charges, but going back to the mid-1970s was transferred to the federal prison system. So he's been moved around from place to place, and now he's in Cumberland, Maryland. But Cumberland, Maryland is on lockdown because it has been overwhelmed by COVID-19, and not only are prisoners dying, and guards are dying. And so, you know, when the guards start dying, then they pay a little bit of attention. But faith leaders and people who normally would never want to have a conversation about the politics started to pay attention. 84 years old. And there are senior citizens that are in prison, and all of what the CDC was telling us about those who are most vulnerable and in potential jeopardy from the most dire consequences from COVID-19, being people with compromised immune systems or people with advanced age. Many people began to get that because many of us, you know, many people are familiar with it or not, the population of many of our faith communities is aging as well. So when you go into most churches, if they were open now, you would find a lot of people over 60, over 65, over 70. And so when they hear that an octogenarian is in prison, someone who an appellate court, as Brother Zaid talked about, has already said should be released, has already served a life sentence, has been denied parole by the parole board 6 times over and over again. Brother, I have people who are former leaders of the New Jersey parole board who said Sundiata should have been released. They know he should have been released. And there is vendetta, and there is fiction, and there is injustice, and there is abuse that we have to challenge and say, bring Sundiata home this year. We can't keep doing this. I've been doing this since I was in my 20s. And watching him get these 5-year hits, these 10-year hits, these completely unjustified, legally unjustifiable decisions. And even when the appellate court said that he should be released, they find the state of New Jersey who appealed it just to make sure it has to run back through the whole process again, thinking that they can time it out. And timing it out means, can we make sure he dies in prison? So we're calling on people, and again, we had 47 representing every single year, and we've written the governor, we've talked to the staff, we've talked to everyone from chief of staff to legal counsel to the Negro in charge of Negro affairs and the one they designate to deal with faith leaders. We've gone to public ceremonies where they believe that they should be able to just stand in front of Black Lives Matter murals, and because that was the flavor of the month last summer, and that we wouldn't say anything, and we challenged them, we disrupted, and we demand, look, Governor Murphy, you have the ability right now to commute this sentence. You have the ability right now to bring Sundiata home. We've tried every strategy. We've gone through the courts. We dealt with legislation. We were successful in being able to get the largest decarceration event in New Jersey history with this recent release of certain prisoners as a result of COVID public health credits. All of that is important and powerful work. But Sundiata is someone who is symbolically important, not only for them and their anger, their venom, their vindictiveness. He's important because he represents something which is fundamentally broken within the United States system of justice, which keeps senior citizens, people who have no threat of recidivism. Sundiata has gone more than 27 years with an absolutely perfect disciplinary record. The federal prison system uses him as a resource person to train, to teach, and to counsel other young prisoners on how it is they can make use of their time, go home, and not come back. So we're calling upon everyone, men, women, young people, old people, Christians, Muslims, Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, atheists, whatever it is that they consider to be superior to yourself, to be motivated by a sense of compassion, of morality. You know, it's unacceptable to quote the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King once a year, talking about the moral arc of the universe is long and it bends towards justice. Mm-hmm. And you won't even bend just a little bit to write a letter, just a little bit to make a phone call. Don't tell me about what the universe does. What are we going to do? Because that's what's required.
And Reverend, I'm reading, and they actually gave him a 20-year hit because he belonged to the Black Panther Party. I'm reading that.
They will come up with anything and everything, because there are Panthers that are in prison right now, and certainly they want to keep everybody in prison. But again, and those of us who are here in New Jersey know the particular venom and animosity that exists institutionally in this state around Assata Shakur, formerly known as Joanne Chesimard. Someone who they had on the FBI's 10 most wanted list for all kinds of crimes that she supposedly committed as a member of the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Army in the 1970s. And then when they finally ultimately captured her and shot her on the New Jersey Turnpike in the shootout where Sundiata was the driver of the car, all of those charges that they were seeking to put her on the FBI's 10 most wanted list, she was found not guilty of all of those charges. The only thing she was convicted of was what occurred as a result of what happened on the New Jersey Turnpike that evening, where Officer Werner Forrester was killed, where Zayed Shakur was killed, where Sundiata, where Assata was shot, and where Sundiata was captured a short time later. And let me say this: I am a pastor, and I have spent much of my ministry here in New Jersey going to murder sites where women and men, whether they be black or brown or white or young or old or male or female or adult or child, and I have laid my Bible on the places where people have died, and I have prayed for and with families who have lost loved ones as a result of murders. And when I do that, I don't know the details in most instances in terms of what's happening. We have a white sheet, we got teddy bears and candles and liquor bottles and a lot of people who are crying and mourning and weeping. And so we have prayed for every family that was impacted by what happened on that evening in 1973. And I wish it on no one. And I don't wish that pain on anyone. But we do have this system that we call a system of criminal justice in this country. And Sundiata has already served all of the time for everything that he has been convicted of, and a whole lot more. And this 84-year-old father and grandfather who has multiple health problems, you talked about how COVID-19 goes for everything else. Be clear, if you've been in prison since 1973, if you've been in a circumstance and situation when he was in New Jersey prison, held in a cage smaller than the size legally required for a German Shepherd dog, and he contracted tuberculosis, Sundiata's body has been warred upon for at least the almost 48 years that he's been in prison. So in addition to the COVID-19, he has multiple other health conditions that he's struggling with. It is time for him to be taken care of by his daughters. He has 2 daughters, by his grandchildren, by his community, by people who love him and care for him. He was a mathematician. He worked for NASA. He was a computer programmer. He was someone who was valuable in so many different ways. And most people don't know the full story. He didn't just do good work in Texas or good work in New York. I have friends and family and people who are in politics and people who are in community in Selma, Alabama, that Sundiata once worked in and organized in and protected people and served people. But I'm not here to talk about all of his past in this campaign right now. And I want to be clear, because I know many people may want to talk about the details of the case. I'm not interested in talking about that anymore. Been doing it, honestly, for decades of my life. Right now, I want to talk about what future Sundiata has left. And at 83 years old, I don't know how much time that is.
Now, the governor could commute this tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Right? Like if the governor wanted him to be free, he could be free tomorrow. And Larry Hamm said something that please explain. He was actually sentenced. He's actually serving more years than he was sentenced.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
he was
sentenced to certain.
A life sentence in New Jersey, I believe, is 25 years. And I'm not an attorney. I'm a pastor. Let me say this: it's 20 to 25 years. He has now been in prison. In May, it'll be 48 years. He has already served his time. The courts have already resolved. He served his time. He's eligible for parole. He should be released. I remember sitting in the courtroom when the case was argued with the lawyers, and then the decision came that he should be released. And there have been the NAACP has said he needs to be released of New Jersey, the New Jersey Institute of Social Justice, the American Friends Service Committee, the ACLU, all of these ministers and pastors and imams and rabbis, Danny Glover, the actor. You know,
and let me, because this is, I'm asking again because it's just so, like, he served his time.
It's so outrageous, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, it's outrageous. He served his time. He has served more than his time. If the standing rate, like 20, 25, 30 years, he served 48 years.
And he's not the only one. He's not the only one. Let me give us a little more context. Let me give a little more context, because it's important for the folks to appreciate that too, right? We've got several campaigns going for several different political prisoners who also are facing medical crises by virtue of their aging and all of that. Russell Maroon Schultz is in his 49th, going into his 50th year, right? Out of Pennsylvania, right? Suffering from stage 4 colon cancer and COVID-19, right? It's insane, right? Mumia Abu-Jamal survived hepatitis C, just barely, and is at a serious risk because Pennsylvania system is locked down horribly behind this COVID-19. So I mean, it's dangerous for a lot of these men, and how much time?
And the thing is, like, and the thing I think that brings this home is that it's not even that, because you said we're past whether they did it or not. You're past arguing for their innocence. They served their time. They are serving extra time. They have been recommended for release multiple times. Who is the force? What is it? Is it the governor?
Oh, it absolutely is the governor. The governor can do it immediately, and this is why we have been focusing and targeting attention on him. However, let me say something to you that Sundiata said to me once back when I was probably 25 years old. I asked him, I said, so Baba Sundiata, I said, so when do you think you're going to be released? And he said, why are you asking me that? He said, because I said, well, because, you know, you have and at this point he had served probably about 20 years. He had served what was the total of what should have been the life sentence. And he said to me, he said, look, I don't make that decision. He said, in truth, the government doesn't really make that decision. It is the people that will decide when it is that I'm released. He said, the people, at least not enough of them, have not yet decided that I need to be released. And so it is the governor that has the power to do it. But let's be also clear. We have the power if we exercise it, if we make it politically necessary for the governor to hear the voice of the people. And I'm encouraged. I had a call yesterday. We have a big synagogue in Hillsborough that said, look, we done put the word out. All of our people are writing letters. We're letting the governor know we're writing for Sundiata for his birthday. And we're letting the governors know. I'm getting more and more requests. How can I support? How can I make contributions? Who can I write a letter to? Who can I write a governor to? It will throw them off to hear from a multiplicity of different kinds of voices and different kinds of spaces that they have not heard before. And so that's why in this season, we're reaching out to everybody. Because be clear about the logic, brother. You know, it seems irrational, illogical. How is it that he could still be there? Be clear. There are people who want people like Sundiata to simply die. They didn't have the death penalty in New Jersey as an option. Or they weren't able to get the death penalty for certain types of prisoners, and they survived in spite of their best efforts. And so now their best efforts is in spite of the fact that they've served every day, every year that they ever should have served in punishment for whatever crime that they were convicted of. The ultimate goal is for them to die in prison. All logic goes out the window. You know, people talk about how expensive it is to keep people in prison. How much money has the state of New Jersey paid to keep Sundiata in prison since 1973, almost 48 years? And be clear, they've paid more for Sundiata than probably any other prisoner in the entire system, because they have to pay the federal system to actually keep Sundiata in the federal system.
Wow.
They pay even more than what they would pay the average state prisoner who they keep in prison for 48 years. They're having to pay the federal government additional fees and costs to keep him incarcerated in the federal system. So probably, you know, again, don't have the exact statistics, but I would wager if he's not the most expensive prisoner in the state of New Jersey, he's in the top tier in terms of the cost for someone who could be taken care of by his grandchildren, by his community, by people. We got prayer groups. We have prayer circles. We got senior citizens. We got Christians, Muslims, Jews all over this state that are praying for this man, that are welcoming his return and saying, bring Sundiata home. Hashtag bring Sundiata home. They didn't even know what a hashtag was before they got on this campaign. But now talk about it. And so I'm thankful that you all are helping to put the word out, his information in terms of going across the screen, in terms of how to contact him, his prison number, where to reach him in Cumberland, Maryland. Please write him a letter. But we're also asking you to pay attention to this campaign, because we have to be coordinated, we have to be strategic, and we have to reach the governor and anyone and everyone else. Again, I heard you all talking before about putting these state legislators and other elected officials. Everyone should be on notice. Your mayor should be calling the governor. Your legislators should be calling the governor. Your pastor, your imams should be calling the governor. And every single day, he should wake up to a new set of names. There should be a reporter at those regular COVID-19 briefings that he gives throughout the course of the week. Every time somebody should ask him about Sundiata Acoli. Because if we can deal with his case, it opens us up to talk about a number of other cases, whether they be political prisoners, whether they be elderly senior citizens, whether they be people who were kept in prison far beyond the time that they need to be in prison within this prison industrial complex where people are making money and people have an investment, having more and more prisoners be filling up these prison cells. They get money based on their counts and how many people they can keep there. And they know that if they have older senior citizens, that the most work they're going to have to put into it is some raggedy healthcare services.
Wow.
Because they're not going to have to worry about them causing problems on the yard. They're not going to have to worry about them being any kind of physical threat to anybody within. And so we have to know that they are being exploited, and the parole board is a root of corruption. Again, stay tuned, because we have people who have been a part of this system who are willing to testify and who are willing to speak the truth about what is actually happening here in the state of New Jersey. Bring Sundiata home.
Thank you so much for being on. We're going to have you back on.
I put in the chat, John. I'm sorry. I put in the chat the email for the Sundiata Cola Freedom Campaign. I put Sundiata's address on the chat, and we also have the webpage up. And folks, y'all know how to reach me also. I mean, you know, I'm here.
And Mike,
we've been turning it up for years, and we need to take this to another stage.
And Michael, our behind-the-scene person, if you have that stuff behind the scenes in the chat, do you mind us just publicizing that information and just putting that information up there?
It's been going up. He's been doing it.
All right, good.
Well, and then go to the hashtag. Go to Bring Sundiata Home, and it will take you to these various places where you can find more and more information. There's a need for money for additional legal fees. We have some legal options and some strategies that are coming up again this year. We have some political options. But again, and I thank you for allowing me, Jonathan, for being able to be here with you, and Zaid for being able to be here on with you. The moral option is the one that I really just want to urge everyone today. Put aside some of what you might immediately jump to when talking about Sundiata, at least for right now. And let's talk about 84 years old, almost 48 years. Born in 1937, been in prison since 1973. Was COVID-19 positive, 27 years without a disciplinary infraction. Has 2 daughters and grandchildren that are waiting for him to come home. That this is the year that we need to bring him home.
And has served his time.
And this is the year that we need to say that justice needs to be made manifest, because indeed he has more than served his time. He's doubled it.
Right.
He's doubled it. He hasn't just served it, he's flipped it. And we have a responsibility, because again, if folks want to quote Dr. King, and I love Dr. King, I got him up here right behind me. You might see him playing pool on my wall back here behind me. Dr. King said, "Injustice is a threat to justice everywhere." Yep. And if we don't deal with cases like this that are obvious, that are clear, that we've been aware of for decades, then it makes it terribly difficult at best for us to do the fundamental organizing work, like organizations like Larry Hammond. We're so thankful for the People's Organization for Progress, the Sundiata Cola Freedom Campaign that has been working on this for decades. We're thankful for all of the organizations. Start writing your letters.
And
start sending your emails, making your phone call.
And thank you so much, man. We're definitely going to have you back on the show. We're just changing to ask you one last question and very much change the mood. And Donna, you can jump in for this if you want to.
Well, Pastor, we have a question that we ask everybody, but I'm going to tell you, thank you for being here tonight. But I went to your Facebook page and I seen that you just posted a couple of hours ago that you preached a sermon, Placement in Proximity, on Vice President Harris. If you think it's too soon and you're ready to get mad at me, sorry, not sorry. So we're going to schedule you to come back and talk about that, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. So just hold that thought. And Jonathan is going to
let me say this, Donna. I love my sister. I love Black women.
Hold that thought. Go ahead. Yes, sir. One thought. Just
but
leave.
A prophet got to be a prophet. And
okay,
John. We're trying to. The favorite hip hop artist, individual, or group.
Yeah.
But yes, that is the topic for next time.
Okay.
Yes,
so
sir.
Your favorite hip hop artist or group?
Oh my goodness. I'm classic old school. I still have to go with Public Enemy.
Okay.
You know, and what brought me into my consciousness, it takes a nation of millions to hold us back. I got my Bible in one hand, and I got Chuck D and Flavor Flav and Professor Griff in the other. So, you know, I got the gospel of Chuck, the gospel of Flav, the gospel of Griff.
I got something else in my other hand.
The gospel of Flavor Flav. Okay, that's another.
I got the gospel of the 380.
Well, thank you so much, sir. We look forward to having you back, and thank you for your advocacy. And we look good. And feel free to just drop in and give us any updates if you want to let us know as well.
Thank you, Don. I appreciate you.
Thank
God
you,
bless
sir.
you all.
And thank you. And I very much appreciate having you on. We'll definitely have you back.
Rock the hashtag. Great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's going up on my Facebook page as well. All right, so we are getting ready to go to our next segment of All Politics So Local, and Donna, I will have you introduce this part. This will be we were heavy. We've been heavy. We've been heavy all night, but we hope to have a start talking about some hip hop, some culture, some what went on the inauguration. But I will give this to Donna. And Donna, your mic is off.
Do we have two people in the background? Do we have Jenny and DJ Haas in the background?
We do have Jenny. We do have them. Yes, we have them. Not in the background. We got them in the foreground.
Yeah, hey, everybody. All right, so Orange High School Tornadoes. I'm class of 85. Haas, you 85 or 84?
I am class of 1984, the mighty class 84.
And here's the big one. And Jenny, you are a class of?
2018.
Woo! You see, that's after our 30 class. That's after our 30-year class reunion. So, Orange High School Tornadoes are in the building. Is DJ Rhino coming in? If he'll join us. But DJ Haas is here to join us, and Jenny. All Orange Tornadoes, but both are current residents of Washington, D.C., a place where you have let's just say taxation with no representation down there. But you got a lot going on in DC. Again, Haas and I, everybody, we grew up here in Orange, New Jersey. And Haas is a DJ, as they call him, DJ Harvey Haas. He's been doing some extreme awesome things since he left New Jersey, went to Howard University, continued his DJ career through high school, went on to work at BET, has his own business, and I can't say him without his wife. His wife is a noted author who worked with the Obama administration. He'll tell us a little bit as we go through the interview. And Jenny is currently a student at American University. And I talked to her today, and I had to stop and pause, and I was like, my baby, you growing up. She sounded like a woman on the phone. I'm like, she is a woman, but I'm like, you're not little Jenny anymore. So I'm just excited to have both of you here. And I just wanted to talk about, because you're in DC, and the pulse of which has happened, the transition, and even a reflection of what you've been going through for the prior to the transition, and how does that immediately feel, and what are some of your expectations from your perspective? Haas, you being a Howard grad, were you in school when Vice President was there? Were y'all there together?
No, I was not on the campus, on the yard at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I came to the campus actually because I'm one of the kids, as you know me from Orange.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go right to college after
Mm-hmm.
Orange. I took the road of let me figure life out, let me travel, and that's how I got down to DC. I went back to college because I graduated in '84. I went back to college and finished in 2001. So I waited almost 10 years before I got back into college, because in high school, I was just a regular student. But you get to college and you have to pay for it yourself. I became from that average, C, get a C, I'm happy to be, I'm excited. I went from that to straight A's and finished Howard in, about 4.5 years, and got an internship with Black Entertainment Television. And then they hired me after I came back with a full story on the Ron Brown plane crash back in the day. And they hired me that next week. So, my story about getting back in college, I took the long road. I worked in retail. I worked nights. I went to evening classes, night school, and I got back in college like that to become this proud graduate of Howard University, this HBCU life.
And so Danny, you're down still in American University right now, and you left Orange. And one of the things that really impressed me about Jenny was as an Orange High School student, she was really engaged into our political system. And I remember I put her on the spot and asked her to help me do an interview so she can translate in Spanish. Now, what I really appreciated, she jumped right into it. She didn't shy away from it. She kind of added her own interpretation. And she went on, she got an award. Was it National Honor Society award you got, Jenny?
Yeah.
What award? She was the only person to get this award. So she's just continued to make us very proud. When we see Jenny or we get a news article about what she's doing, we're just extremely proud. But as same question, tell me, and we'll go back to hospital. We'll start with you, Jenny. How has this week been for you? And have you been engaged with any of the local politics in terms of the new administration?
Yeah, so as a freshman, when I graduated in 2018 and going into AU, I was like, I'm going to study political science. And when I'm a junior, like, I'll be there. You know, I'll be there when there's a new administration. I'll be there to witness like an historic moment. And then that didn't necessarily happen because like all the roads were closed down. People weren't able to access this thing. But I came back last week and I knew like just like the air felt different. There's like tanks everywhere, the National Guard's deployed, and you're like, am I walking into like a military base, right? And like these streets that I always walk on, I always go to the mall, the National Mall, is now closed because of what happened on January 6th, right? So we don't want a repetition of that. And so everywhere is shut down. And so I had to watch inauguration in my living room on my TV, even though I'm literally in the same city, which was really sad. But yeah, I think just like everyone was on their toes that day, hoping nothing would happen. But yeah, it's just like an unfortunate event that like as a student, I'm in the city and I can take advantage of all these opportunities with the new administration. But because everything's virtual, it's just not the same.
And go ahead, Jonathan.
No, both of you are like when Donna really likes both of you and says that, you know, you're very steeped in hip hop. You're very steeped in hip hop culture. And question, right? Like I saw the inauguration. I saw a lot of the celebrations. I saw a lot of the music and a lot of the diversity of music. Was there any hip hop in the inauguration? And what do you think about that? Like, I mean, they had country music. They had like
Garth Brooks.
Garth was there, right? He was catching hell because half of his fans were like, "We will never listen to you again." But I mean, he was there. I'm just asking, like, was Common there? Because everybody loves Common. I mean, hip hop at the inauguration. What happened?
Hey, I think the only hip hop was that beautiful sister doing the poetry. That was the closest thing that we were going to get to hip hop that day.
Now, why do you think J-Lo's not hip hop? Beyonce's more hip hop than J-Lo.
She's default hip hop.
J-Lo can barely sing. Like I don't even know if we can classify J-Lo as a singer. Like, right. Is she hip hop? Is she R&B? Is she cool?
All right, we get dance. And so Jonathan, just so you know, Jonathan's from he's a debate coach in the Newark school system, so he likes to start arguments and everything. J-Lo can by all means sing. J-Lo, I love J-Lo, so that's not.
We love J-Lo though. We love J-Lo.
And we have DJ Rhino.
DJ Rhino's here. DJ Rhino. Is J-Lo hip hop? He dated hip hop, but is that make her hip hop?
Well,
he did it 20 years
J-Lo,
ago.
No, I'm gonna keep it 100. J-Lo has always been accepted in the hip hop community. She comes from the Bronx. You know, she came up through the In Living Color. She came up through the In Living Color era, which was the 90s hip hop era. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So she was accepted into the hip hop community at that time. But I mean, you know, since then she's blown up. She's become a huge pop star. And honestly, I mean, she did a good job, but I personally felt like she sounded like Disney when it sounded like a Disney song to me.
There you go.
You know, but you know, but I mean, that's what it is. I mean, she, like I said, originally she was set up. I mean, she was accepted by the hip hop community.
But just to be clear, you don't consider the Disney rendition hip hop. I'm just asking.
Nah,
that wasn't like you weren't trying to say that Disney can be hip hop. I'm just asking.
Nah. I wasn't feeling the whole rendition. It was too Disney for me, and that's my take on it.
So for all of you, like hip hop in this, why do you think hip hop was not there? They were like, we represent America. What?
And I'm sorry, I
don't know. Remember Cardi B was supposed to be Joe Biden's people.
Yeah.
Bernie. Cardi B endorsed Bernie. Bernie.
Oh yeah.
Bernie.
Oh, where I always thought it was Biden.
I think it was both. Wasn't both? She endorsed Biden after Biden got the nomination. I believe she did.
Well, I'm sure everybody went over. Yeah. But with that being said, I didn't see the evening's performances. Do we know who participated in the evening? Because I haven't caught up to that. Do we know who participated in the evening performances?
No, I tuned out. I tuned out in the middle of it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I didn't even watch that whole thing. I didn't watch the whole thing, and then I was going in and out of it. In DC, they started letting off fireworks.
Right.
And, letting off fireworks on that night.
I mean, 2 weeks after, yeah, y'all was nervous, yeah. But but let me ask you, in terms of, and we said, because I know we only got a half an hour, so I wanted to move really quick. Is there, from your generation, Jenny, and more so from the HBCU, is there an expectation of what this administration is going to deliver on? Jenny, you can go first.
Yeah, I mean, this administration, their theme was unity, and we even see like how the Oval Office looks now. We have representation of Cesar Chavez, we have representation of Rosa Parks, and just like who's involved now and how diverse the cabinet is. And now they need to live up to that expectation, obviously, and like they've made very big promises on how to unite the country. And so it's going to be really essential in these upcoming months. And it's first 100 days to like really show the people that that's what he's going to do, live up to that promise. And hopefully, I'm very hopeful that with the representation that's in the cabinet, that's in who's in the White House now, hopefully some things are going to be different.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh no, say what you were asking.
And so, John, I'm saying, Haas, looking at the HBCU, and you guys have a long staying engaged and staying involved, is there expectation with a HBCU graduate, a member of a sorority, is there an expectation that some of these seats will be filled from the HBCU? Okay.
The expectation is high. And today, I think they hired the first African-American Secretary of Defense just today. So he's going to be in charge, and they waived the normal rules where you'd have to be out of service for about 7 years or so. And they put him in today. He didn't have to go through that process. And I think he's just out of the military for like 4 years. But this is in that position. This is the first African-American to take that position. Yes, the expectations are very high. Having somebody like Kamala Harris as a vice president, she should understand the Black issues. And yeah, our expectations here in DC are, what are you going to do for us? We waited 4 years of misery. And when that helicopter took off, it was like the clouds went away and the sun came out. So it was like nature itself was like, this ugly reign is over. Now it's time for a new. But my question to us is that as Black people, we can't look to what the government is going to do for us. We have to look always at what are we doing for ourselves first? What is our plan? And through all this craziness, it's just been a distraction for us to get back to supporting us, building more Black business and supporting more Black organizations and groups that are already out there.
DJ Ryder or Jonathan? I know one of y'all.
I was just gonna, not a follow up, but DJ Rano, I'm just curious, right? Like, because I'm coming back to this, is the inauguration. The theme of the inauguration, and I think this goes back to what you were, it kind of hints on what you were talking about, DJ Harvey. Like the theme was celebrating America, primetime special, right? So it's symbolic of all of America. And the people they have are John Bon Jovi, John Legend.
Jovi's from Jersey.
Foo Fighters, Katy Perry, Bruce Springsteen. Yes, Jersey's well represented. Demi Lovato performed my favorite song on that beautiful song.
The fireworks.
And Justin Timberlake.
Ooh.
Right. So y'all into hip hop? Yeah. I mean, Conscious.
Pretty much white men,
okay.
right?
That's okay.
That was pretty much white men that you
I mean,
named.
there was some. Well, I mean, yes, and John Bon Jovi, John Legend's black, right? He's very very respectable, very respectable black man, right? We have Foo Fighters, right? Foo Fighters used to be grunge, but they're respectable now, right? We have Katy Perry, we have Bruce Springsteen, right? Like we got that. We got Demi Lovato. I love the song she sang, man. She sang my brother's song. I forget his name, just jumped out of my head. He just passed away. It's from West Virginia, but Lovely Day, the song Lovely Day. She tore it up. Jill Scott's version was better, but they didn't get Jill Scott. They got Demi Lovato. Okay, that's cool. Justin Timberlake. I mean, is there like a black? I mean, because we had like some blackish music.
Blackish
black people. I mean, I'm just saying, like, you're talking about the inauguration.
Yeah, that sounds like the lineup for the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that doesn't sound like
the lineup for the Super Bowl seems pretty black.
You know what it sounds
really black this year.
John,
like they got Jasmine Sullivan, yes.
You know what it sounds like?
What does it sound like?
Sounds like they were scared
to put hip hop on.
It sounds like they were scared to get a little too black at all.
Yeah,
hip hop or otherwise. Sound like they were scared.
Talk to me, Rhino. I mean, what do you mean by that? Because I'm just
sounds like they were scared. The only black person you mentioned was John Legend.
Yeah,
he's a very respectable. I like him very much. He's a very respectable man.
Me too. But when you want to talk about hip hop and you want to talk about black, wasn't a whole lot in that list. There was no hip hop at all.
Kendrick Lamar could have been.
It was scared.
I would also say go from because it started Thursday night, and Thursday night started with the nurse who sang Amazing Grace and Yolanda Adams. So Thursday and then into
gospel. So the Yolanda Adams, the queen of gospel.
Like gotta represent Christianity.
Yeah,
gotta represent Christianity.
So it was a Tuesday night, and then during the day, it was the poet laureate. And then
I was just talking about the music.
No,
right?
I'm just saying, but if you look at the whole story, no, I'm saying the scope of the entertainment started Tuesday night up until Wednesday evening. That's what I'm saying.
And but the primetime special said the name of the primetime special was Celebrating America Primetime Special. And so y'all love hip hop. I was just asking. I'm just trying to start something.
I guess today's hip hop ain't that American.
And like I said, as we and to what Haas just said, make sure that, and I said it earlier, that our ask and this arts and culture is a big part of the White House, and to see how it plays out, because we know and Rhino, you always say that sometimes the music is catching up, but arts is a big part of the White House, and see how it's going to be defined, because we do know. And when Joe Biden was vice president, the arts that went on at the White House for those 8 years was very, very diverse and very tilted towards African-American community. So we like to see it continue how, and then this 4 years, it was pretty, I don't even think there was any arts in the White House, but how arts is going to speak to the theme of unity and whatever the goals are of this administration, to see how the arts speak to that through song and music and things like that. Because what's interesting, as 45 was leaving, he pardoned Lil Wayne. I think they said Snoop made a phone call. So even though there was no arts presence, they still had the the relationship to put up a phone call and say, hey, can you pardon my person? And because I want to say at least 3 rappers got pardoned the night before, correct?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think so.
absolutely. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
We did get pardoned that night before. And again, it's like most presidents pardon people that, you've been serving a long time. Like I think Obama pardoned like 150 people, but these are people that had misdemeanor crimes and stuff like that. But you pardon like Lil Wayne, and he pardoned everyone that supported him. He didn't pardon the regular cast, just like that brother that's been sitting there that y'all were just talking about on that last segment. Right. He didn't pardon him.
Right.
So he pardoned the cats, the black people. I mean, if Steve Harvey got locked up for something, he'd have probably pardoned him. So that was that pardon action.
Yeah.
So Definitely. So they're trying to just quell hip hop. They're trying to keep hip hop at a minimum for right now. That inauguration, they were walking on eggshells.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They were scared.
They were walking on eggshells, and you could tell everybody was kind of. You saw how Bernie Sanders was leaned back. He was like, he had the.
He was dolo. You saw Bernie was for dolo. You seen all the memes? They got like 1 million memes on Bernie right now.
Why they do Bernie like that though? He everywhere now.
Well, he loves it. You know he loves it.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. I rolled when I first saw him sitting by himself in the back like that. I was like, "What's going on with Bernie?"
Bernie made me a girl. I'm trying not to get COVID. Were y'all like told y'all couldn't come out the house or anything, or it was just so locked down there was no sense of coming out the house?
Well, Jenny, from where you were, were they like on lock? Because over here, I'm uptown. So we didn't see what was happening downtown because I'm off of I'm about 15 minutes outside of the White House. I live off of 16th Street. The White House is on 16th Street, but I'm uptown. But downtown, you cannot get anywhere close. I have friends that work in the press. Even if you had a press ID, some people didn't even get in with the press ID. So they were on eggshells. I mean, quiet as kept. I mean, I had neighbors talking about what type of products can we use if we had to stop a mob. Wow. You know what I'm saying? It was like that out here. I mean, people were thinking back, it didn't feel like the riots during the civil rights movement. I had neighbors saying this was reminiscent to like something from the 1800s. Like these cats came out of the woods with bats, with sticks, like hockey sticks. And I saw, cats beating people down with crutches. How you hop to a rally on a crutch and you're using that to beat people down with? I mean,
the cops helped him. Some of the cops were helping him on, right? Because they said they saw somebody with a wheelchair going to the Capitol too. I'm like, yo, how they rolling into the Capitol, right? Like how?
Right. And Jenny, you were right down there. So the day of going back to January 6th, so you really felt because your university is right near the Capitol, right?
Yeah, so I'm by AU, it's on the same street. Well, it's like Massachusetts Avenue going all the way down. Right. But I live it's like in the suburbs, right? So a lot of it you don't feel being next to AU. But like example, like the day before the inauguration, me and my friends just drove down and we're like, let's see how far we can go, right? Because we heard and we saw these videos of like them blocking the roads, and so we weren't even that close, and they were doing like checkpoints. And so at that point, like we all realized like maybe we shouldn't go anywhere that day. Like we didn't even try to get close on that day, just because like everyone was worried, right? Like people who have lived there for so long are like seeing their city being, I don't know, like people who don't live there coming to like destroy, right, like their property. And so it was kind of scary. Like people were really worried that something was going to happen on that day.
Mm-hmm.
What to as we this time goes by so quick, and we'd love to have you go back, and because we really want to monitor through any of the engagement that you're doing, both Haas and Jenny, are you doing any advocacy to ensure that this administration is held accountable?
We will be working with actually my wife and I, we were a part of the campaign to help Kamala get in. We've been doing fundraisers on the low for like the last year out here. And we're still going to be doing the same. And I think we're going to have a little closer ear with her, not too close, but a little bit closer, that, yeah, some of our issues and some things that need to be changed and done, we want to hold them accountable. I mean, that's why we vote. And that's why Georgia helped get this vote through. If it wasn't for Georgia, we all be talking about a different story right now. So again, it's like Black people showed up in Georgia. Black people showed up for this vote. Now, what are they going to do for us? How do we hold them accountable? What, again, everything starts with, what do we want as a people? What is our top 10 list of things that we'd like to see occur for us? And then we can, you know, say to them, hey, number one, we just want to stop being killed, just driving around or walking around, or, you know, hey, I found a fake $10 bill like last year. I didn't know it was fake. I went to a store, tried to buy something. Look, you know, there's some things that have to be changed out here, and how people look at us and how people see us. But again, it starts with how we look at ourselves. What are we building? You know, I mean, I get mad at NBA players because they make millions and millions of dollars, and I always say, well, NBA, NFL, how come y'all can't build a rec center in Newark yet? Not one player. How come y'all can't build a rec center in Southeast DC? Not one player. So it's time for us to start putting ourselves together, holding ourselves accountable first, then other people, other groups of people see us holding ourselves like that. And I think then we can move forward even more, but not wait on the system. We have to do it ourselves first.
And Jenny, anything advocacy you're doing to hold this administration accountable?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like I mentioned before, this administration has been promising all these really big changes. And if I just kind of wait around and wait for them to do it, then, you know, I'm not using the resources that I can to actually do something. And so like this semester, I'm interning with the CARE Coalition down in DC. And so what they do is they provide legal representation for people that are in detention centers. And so I am working directly with people in the community providing social services, right? And even this organization that is applauding this new administration, their new immigration policy, are like, okay, like now we have a president who's going to support us, but we still have so much work to do. And there's a lot of work to do in DC, in the DC area. And so hopefully now with this new administration, there's like some hope that, okay, now we can get like real work done and have some support. But like I said before, like it's also like not putting too much hope in this government that may or may not complete like what they promised.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Rhino, you want to ask that question? Or any other question you have, sir?
Okay. Yeah, I guess I gotta ask the question, right? All right. First, I want to ask DJ Haas.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you say is your favorite hip hop artist or group, of either of all time or who you rocking with right now? Like who's sticking out with you right now?
Man, I play so
I
much.
know you're a DJ, so
Right.
you gotta go through the files in your mind.
Well, I play so much music, I don't have to go too deep, because anytime I'm in moments of where I'm questioning what's going on in the world and around me, the first album I go to is KRS-One's first album, Criminal Minded. Okay. That was pure KRS, and it just gives me it just inspired me. I listen to a lot of Public Enemy still. It takes a nation of millions to hold us back, but the album that really stands out to me is In Fear of a Black Planet, because this planet is getting browner and browner. The temperature is getting hotter and hotter, and
going back to what it was.
Yeah, and I think it's In Fear of a Black Planet is why when Barack Obama left, the rush to get Donald Trump in was almost immediate.
Yeah.
So that's the album that I go to.
That's what's up.
And I mean, favorite all-time artist of, you know, I got to go back to the origins. I'm an old school fan. So the group that got me started was Cold Crush from back in the day. That was the first mixtape I ever heard, was the Cold Crush mixtape. And literally I listened to from front to back every song, you know. So yeah, so that's where my mind is. But of course I'm into the new hip hop, Kendrick and everything else, you know, even some Megan. And I know, you know, people are like, well, you know, why Megan? Megan's from Houston. And I watched Megan on these interviews on the late night show, and she's very poised. And she's just very, you know, it's like, well, how can I be mad at Megan? And she's doing what Little Kim did. She's doing what Foxy Brown did. She's doing what all the other, you know, so it's like, you know what? Hip hop is us. And back to your point about why, are we going to bring hip hop into this new administration? I hope so. I hope they bring some go-go in. We here in DC. There could have been.
I was going to ask you about that. I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, you being in DC, right?
There could have been a go-go band, but there wasn't even. I mean, they let the Howard University band. Huh?
They don't want to scare people.
They don't want to.
I think you're right, DJ Rhino. That's why I was trying to start trouble when I saw that list, and I was like, "Oh, you're on the hip hop. This was Celebrating America Prime Time Special,
right?
What y'all think?" I mean, clearly, like they wanted to have the safe. John Legend is the safest black man in America. They couldn't even have Chance the Rapper up there.
Right?
Chance. Everybody love Chance, not Chance.
Right. No Chance.
The Roots. Right. The Roots are on a talk show. Everyone loves the Roots. They're America's favorite. They can't have them. Nope. Oh, but John Legend is that's where they're going with.
No. Wait. How many brothers?
Justin Timberlake.
Wait. How many brothers like took a seat? Had like when you saw Garth Brooks walk from the top of the.
That's when I left. That's when my wife could tell you. That's when I got up and left.
Now hold up, man.
Garth is a hardy red, white, and blue American.
No. I'm a big up for Garth.
And he did Amazing Grace.
Yeah,
I'm a big up for Garth Brooks. Here's why I'm coming out.
He lacked the New York Mets for a country boy.
I'm like, yes, I understand. We ain't had no black people up there, and I got a problem with that. But I ain't giving Garth Brooks a hard time. You know why? He lost half of his fan base. Like, half of his fan base was like, you.
And which means that
she was stolen.
The redneck had something to say, huh?
And which means that he knew that before he took that mic, because they said to him probably if you take the. But before we go, Jenny, what was Jenny? She didn't give her artist.
Yeah, Jenny, who you rocking with right now? Who stands out for you? Who inspires you?
So I'm going to be very honest. I don't listen to hip hop very often. And I will admit that, even though I know this is a hip hop radio station. But I listen to more of what my generation is listening to. But an artist that I really respect actually is A Boogie. And I've seen him in concert, and I think like his older music and the message that he sends, especially to like people my age, is like super powerful. And so yeah, that's who I'm rocking with, I guess.
That's what's up. A Boogie got some joints. I rock A Boogie as a DJ. I definitely throw A Boogie in my mixes.
Okay.
You know, anytime I play the recent hip hop stuff, I always throw A Boogie in. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because Chairman Ham, like they could at least had Common.
Right, that's what I'm saying, right? like Common.
Yeah, right. Common.
No, I got you.
He goes right along with John Legend, right?
Right, he does sing too.
I'm just saying they didn't even have Will Smith. They didn't even have Will Smith.
No, they couldn't even have Will. The Common would have been good. Common and John Legend, they got songs together too.
Yeah, man. Common wasn't scared.
They even had commercials.
But before I just want to give a plug, Mike, if you could post that, because in terms of trying to do our own, Jonathan and Ed, y'all have this show here to make sure that our voices are heard locally, and we talk and we bring on our local leaders and what's going on in the community. Haas, down in DC, you started a channel that's like all things HBCU, and you sent us the
HBCU
link.
Go TV.
Yes, there you go. Go ahead, Rhino. I'm sorry. You want to talk about Rhino?
No, I was just saying HBCU Go TV. I was checking it out earlier today. I was going to ask him about that because it looks real interesting. Can you break down a little bit of what that's about?
Yes, HBCU Go TV is now featured on Roku, and it's featured in your Android store, or if you have an iPhone, you can download it on your mobile devices, laptop, or smart TV. It is a network that is about the culture. It is about us. It is from HBCU graduates or family and friends who are from HBCUs, and all the content is Black, is cultural, it's Latino, it's everything that is about our culture and about our people. It is on 24 hours a day. I produce 2 shows on that network right now. The first show is called The Rhythm and the Real, and the second show is called Listen Up. And Listen Up is a show that's just based on inspiration. See, my spirit is about inspiring people. Donna has known me since Orange High School, but my spirit hasn't really changed. I like inspiring people to do more out of life, to get more out of life, and just lift people up. So my show, Listen Up, is kind of like a nutshell of that. Inspiration, hip hop. We got new MCs on there. We got old MCs on there. And we want to create a segment for DJs, because DJs are getting kicked off of Facebook. They're getting kicked off of YouTube.
Wow. Yes.
HBCU Go wants to create a platform for DJs to come on and do their sets and not be interrupted and not get kicked off.
I may have to reach out to you.
That's some good
huge,
stuff,
man.
I may have to reach out to you.
Good stuff.
That's huge. Your house, man.
mama
I
went
know a
down
lot of
with you
DJs. I know a lot of DJs that'll be big on that one, man.
Yeah,
as
man.
well as myself.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Right.
And
Let's do it. Come to HBCU Go. You know what I
we
mean?
have to talk full, because even Jonathan, we've been trying to get Jonathan to do like a debate, some type of debate of like maybe between young people in Orange against East Orange, or just because he's Science High and they have one of the best debate teams in the country. Okay. So just that whole have you ever debated down at Howard, Jonathan?
No, I've never have.
Okay, so we
have
to
a good
talk.
team. Have a good team.
Howard,
they got a good team at Howard. Yeah.
Some debate history. Howard University. Malcolm's first debate with Bayard Rustin took place at Howard University, October 30th, 1961, and it was the beginning of a legendary series of debates between the two of them, and it put Malcolm on the map as one of the greatest debaters of all time.
Wow.
I didn't know about that.
That's knowledge right there.
And I also wanted to say, just say about Jenny, I know we have it, time goes by fast, but Jenny has had the opportunity, the work that she just talked about she's doing, but she's previously worked with Senator Booker and Assemblywoman Timberlake. So thank you guys for being here. This is really important, and we want to stay, be able to call on you and just talk about, because things are going to be moving really, really fast. I hear on Monday the impeachment starts, and all of these things are going to open up different things for DC. And Jenny, you coming back here to be the mayor of Orange? Just let us know.
Okay, maybe one day.
Okay. She has some aspirations. I don't know if you heard, I'm sorry, real quick. One thing that she said, when she went to school, she knew that when she graduated that she would be there for the 2021. She was thinking that far ahead. So we just know, what she's going to do. I'm sorry. Who had a question? I'm sorry. That was you, Ryan?
Oh, Donna. Yeah. One thing, because just one last thing. For Haas, I wanted to ask you because I was checking out your bio, and it seems like everything that you're doing falls under an umbrella. And I know you own a company called Brand New Media Group, right?
Group, yep.
Group, right. So can you just kind of break down what that is, and like what's all of the things that fall under that? I know that's kind of like a large question for it to be the last question. We're running out of time, but just break that down. What's Brand New Media Group? Because I know that's you.
Yes, in 60
break
seconds. Brand New Media is a collective of talent. It's poets, it's singers, it's artists, it's writers. My wife has 5 books. We put it under Brand New Media Group. We are looking for talent all the time. If you can rap, if you do poetry, if you have a skill dancing, anything that's about the culture, check us out. Go to brandnewmediagroup.com. Check us out, because what we want to do is we want to empower our own people. And with, I motivate interns. That's a part of what I do. Again, it's just about teaching the younger people so that our whole culture keeps going full circle. I like what Donna did tonight with the young Orange High crew and from the old school Orange High crew, and brought us here on the same night. So I appreciate y'all for doing that. And I love the conversations I've been hearing on this show. So y'all keep up the good work, because last week's show was hot. I listened to it. I want y'all to keep doing what y'all doing, because that conversation, and y'all ended last week with DJ Kool Herc being what the inspiration was for that brother who was on last week. So
from the very beginning, that's right.
And y'all looking for rappers? I said a hip hop. You don't stop.
Not her. No.
Okay.
She's a community servant. She's not a rapper. All praise to.
But that's you said that's Brand New Media. That's new NU, right?
Yeah, NU, just like my last name, Nunes, is brandnewmediagroup.com. And my favorite rapper from Jersey is Tretch, Uptown Anthem.
Right. Yeah. Respect Naughty. Respect Naughty.
Respect Naughty.
Naughty by nature.
Right.
By nature.
Favorite line, and KG.
Favorite line is, no matter where you go, there you are.
There you are. That's it.
All right.
That's it. That's it. Respect.
Respect.
Right. Well, thank you all for coming out. This is another week on All Politics Are Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. And we had great guests. It's been a great show. You want to Donna and Zaid and DJ Rhino, do you want to end off saying anything?
Good, man. Just big ups to everybody.
Yeah, and just we'll leave with the last words of thank Hank Aaron for his life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hank Aaron.
Rest in peace, Hank Aaron.
We could do a whole segment on that. Hank Aaron was huge to my generation, and the generations before. Hank Aaron was a special, groundbreaking human being. I'm working on a piece for him. That's right.
God bless him.
And Zaid?
I just said it.
All right, cool. And DJ Rhino, you sure?
Yeah, I'm also, rest in peace, Ed Fletcher, aka Duke Booty. He was the one that helped Melly Mel write The Message, New York, and Survival. Rest in peace. And happy birthday, Slick Rick and LL Cool J. And that's it.
All right, cool. Thank you, the disciples.
Right.
Thank you for Rahman Muhammad. Thank you for thank you for bringing on our great guest, telling us about our brother who we need to get out of prison. Right.
Yes.
Bring Julia home.
And thanks, TJ Haas and Jenny. Thank you.
And thank you for coming in.
Right.
We appreciate you.
Politics are local. Politics are local.
All right.
Number one.
Number one.
Number one.